50% off.
This is the only time you'll see me on the floor.
To schedule your free in-home consultation, go to naturestone.com today.
Football fans, huddle up. Friday nights are about to change forever with Friday Night Huddle. From pregame to postgame and everything in between, Friday Night Huddle is the place for Ohio football action. Combining the resources of cleveland.com, Classic Teleproductions, and Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, Friday Night Huddle gives you unprecedented coverage. You can be part of the action. Get updates as they happen. On cable, online, and on point. Friday Night Huddle.
Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contepelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your Access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays at 7 on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
Welcome back inside the Friday Night Huddle. I'm Dave Bacon, along with my Friday Night Huddle teammates, Dan Labbe from cleveland.com, Chris Fedor from cleveland.com. Let's head to the phones and get our update from the Elyria Mentor game. Mike Patika joins us. Mike, thanks for joining us on the Friday Night Huddle. What is going on with Elyria and Mentor?
Well, Mentor looks about to take a lead, and they do right now on a 3-yard run by Isaiah Golick, following a 62-yard Tatarunas to Baird pass that got them to the 3. If they kick the extra point, it'll be 13-7. They've been fortunate, Mentor. Elyria went 70 yards with the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Mentor came right back to go 44 yards for a touchdown. The kick was blocked, so Elyria led 7-6. The next 2 times Elyria had the ball, they got to the Mentor 11 and to the Mentor 13, but both times they lost fumbles as defensive lineman Kyle Allshafer's making some big plays for Mentor defense. And Mentor now goes ahead 14-7 as they can get a 2-point pass conversion.
So, Mike, it sounds like the offenses are both kind of having their way with the defenses in the early going. Pretty accurate with that?
Yeah, I would say so. Again, to repeat, those 2 Mentor forcing the 2 turnovers was a key, but Elyria quarterback Dante Beckett, he's thrown for 53 yards, run for about 50. Running back Dante Beckett, he's got to be approaching about 60 yards. They've had the ball for about twice as many plays as Mentor. The one big play here, the one a few minutes ago, where Tatarunas hit Steve Baird for 62 yards to set up that last touchdown.
All right, Mike Patika, we appreciate the update. So Mentor needing a win and needing some help to get in Division I, Region 1, a 14-7 lead after that 2-point conversion.
Yeah, and hey, let's not sleep on Elyria here. Obviously, their record isn't great, but you look at their losses. You know, Avon Lake, that's a team with a winning record. Medina, that's a Division I team. We've talked about how good they are. I mean, they're only really kind of shaky losses to Strongsville, 15-8 last week. But even though they have a lot of losses, those losses aren't to terrible teams. There's some pretty good teams in there that they've lost to.
And they've been close, too. You talk about a team, losers of 4 in a row coming into tonight's game. 3 of the 4 have been by a touchdown or less. So, as Dan said, it could be a play here, a play there, and that's something that, according to that update from Mike, seems to still be an issue for Elyria when they're getting the opportunity in scoring position, turning the ball over, shooting themselves in the foot, and that's been the case during this 4-game losing skid.
Let's check in back on the phone with Bryant Kaiser. He joins us with an update of Notre Dame Cathedral Latin taking on Padua. Bryant, what's going on in that one?
Well, NDCL, the Lions just tied the football game up with a 2-yard touchdown pass from Forbes. And with 11:22 to go in the second quarter, it is 7-7.
All right, both these teams really trying to win to get into the playoffs and lock up that spot, Bryant. What have you sensed in that first quarter of football? What's been going on?
A lot of teams, both teams are running the football up the middle, and the Bruins had a big fumble recovery, but they couldn't score it on that one on a short field. But that's all we got is good two running teams. They're not too much throwing. I guess when they threw the ball for a 2-yard touchdown pass, everybody went to the line of scrimmage. Had a wide receiver wide open in the end zone. A touchdown for the Lions.
All right, Bryant Kaiser, we appreciate the update. 7-7. Both those teams need the win. We touched on it a little bit earlier. If the Padua Bruins can find a way to win that, they likely go from one win a year ago to a playoff team this year with a first-year head coach in Mike Polvasic. So obviously things trending in the right direction for the Bruins.
Yeah, and you talk about the importance of a win. This is according to Drew Pastor's fantastic 50 site. 94% to get in with a win, 1% if they lose this game. So This is essentially the definition of a must-win game for them.
And Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, the offense has been a bit of an issue for the Lions as of late. If you remember, last week against Hoban, now it's tough to move the ball against Hoban consistently, but last week against Hoban, it was a kickoff return for a touchdown. It was a scoop and a score on a fumble. It was another fumble that they recovered that gave them a short field. So I would say for the Lions to get an early score in the first quarter, probably some positives with the way that their offense looked last week against Hoban. Yeah,
without question. Well, one of the games that we have been following is the Bedford game against Copley. Copley went ahead 16-0 pretty quickly, and we've said, Bedford probably in the playoffs. They need to respond, and the Bedford Bearcats offense kind of gets the ball moving, trying to get some points on the scoreboard. And the Bedford Bearcats give the football to Sean Gunter. And Tashawn Gunter down the sidelines. Look at that. You mentioned the speed guy.
Yep.
You saw he got to the sidelines, and there's green opening, and they get on the scoreboard. 2-point conversion, no good in that instance, so it's now 16-6. 16-6.
One of those guys that gets around the edge quickly, and once he gets around the edge, you're in trouble because you're not going to be able to catch up to him.
But that's what Bedford has done throughout the season. That's why they've been able to put up these gaudy numbers. Is they get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and they usually do the rest. They feel like going into a lot of these games against Division II opponents, they're going to have the edge in terms of speed and athleticism. Now, sometimes if they move up and play the D1 teams, it's going to be a different story, but that's what Bedford has relied on all season long, the big play capability.
Well, when you have guys that are fast, that are maybe a little bit undersized, and not all of them are undersized, you get the ball in space, and you make teams tackle these guys in the open field, and good luck with that, because most of the time it isn't going to happen, and you saw that there. He got the corner, and, that's a track meet right there. Nobody's going to catch him.
Try to put defenders in one-on-one matchups, right? Try and create as many one-on-one matchups as you can, and then it's a matter of your guy beating their guy. And clearly Bedford liked that matchup a lot, and they went after it.
Another game that we have talked about quite a bit from the Federal League. Chris Fedor loves this one. It's Glen Oak taking on Massillon Perry. And this one for at least a share, if not an outright Federal League title. And the Glen Oak Golden Eagles with their quarterback back. Tate Rhodes missed a lot of the season with a broken collarbone. And you see him. That's a design quarterback draw. And Tate Rhodes, told you in the open field, this guy can take off. And touchdown, Tate Rhodes. That made it 14-0. Glen Oak hanging 14 on Massillon Perry early. Glen Oak trying to lock down one of those top 8 spots in Division I, Region 1. And that's a team, you get the lead. They're pretty strong on defense. They got Elijah Ladson, one of their linebackers. They're strong on both sides of the line of scrimmage. It's a team that was hung within 17 of St. Ignatius a couple weeks ago. 14-0, a good start for the Golden Eagles.
And it's nice to have a quarterback that can outrun a safety with a head start. That's always a nice weapon to have.
And look, there's a mental thing there, too, when it comes to Glen Oak, feeling like, hey, we've got our guy back. We've got the guy that we thought was going to lead us into the postseason back. Yeah, 2 of our 3 losses came without him. So we feel like with him, We beat Canton McKinley already. We beat Lake last week, and he was the one that engineered that scoring drive for us and capped it off. So with him, it's just a boost of confidence for a team to have that kind of guy.
The other thing that Tate Rhodes at quarterback does is it allows J.J. Oliveira to play wide receiver, and then it strengthens the defense because you can play J.J. Oliveira in the defensive backfield, where he's a heck of a player as well. You can't do that as a quarterback just because you don't want to be on your third. And really, J.J. Oliveira is their third quarterback because they lost their second-string quarterback before the season started. So it just Tate Rhodes coming back kind of settles everything down with that team, and a nice start by Glen Oak as they lead 14-0 on Massillon Perry. Well, we told you Solon took advantage. They got a safety. Then the offense moved the ball right down the field and took a 9-0 lead. But the Medina Bees aren't 8-1 for no reason. They've got a pretty good football team. Medina trying to answer as they get the ball deep into Solon territory. And we know who this is. It's going to be Jimmy Daw. Jimmy Daw gets the ball and gets to the opposite side of the field. Blocking is really good, and Jimmy Daw, he knows what the end zone looks like. It's in the end zone again. So it's now 9-7. So a sign of a good team, sign of a playoff team is they answer quickly. This is one of the games we have the ability to take a live look in at. And here it is, now 16-7 as Solon has added to that lead. And Medina with the football back. So again,
got a penalty too, which can't make mistakes against Solon.
Yeah.
Now the good news is you're right near midfield, and again our live look-in courtesy of Medina TV, and so the Medina Bees trailing by 9, but they have the ball near midfield, and you see that little bit of a spread look as they go 4 wide receivers, and there's the rollout, trying to take a shot underneath. It's deflected and intercepted. Solon defense comes up with an interception on the deflected pass. And there it is, a nice job of picking the ball off by T.J. Caver. He comes up with the interception for the Solon Comets. And we have talked about it all year long. The Solon defense, no joke. And there's a look at the quarterback. It is actually Alex Whitaker playing quarterback. Caver comes up with the interception. So the Comets trying to build on that lead that they've established as they take the ball over. They're up 9. Now they have the ball near midfield after the turnover.
And the thing Solon's defense did really well on that play is with the receiver coming around the end, maybe as an option for the quarterback, they took that away right away. I think that was his initial play, his initial read. And Solon's defense said, no, that's not going to happen. He decided not to make that throw. So he's got to do a better job on kind of his second option and what he's going to do down the field.
And Solon, this is a defense that only gives up 11 points per game. I know. So their offense has already put up 16. Well, not technically. One was a safety, but you understand what I'm saying. And now that's, I mean, there aren't a lot of teams that can put up that kind of point total against that Solon defense. I think we saw why right there. 2 mistakes in back-to-back plays, and all of a sudden Solon's looking at possibly going up by 2 scores now.
And you know, extending it. And that's, you know, it's got the snowball effect. The thing that Medina has to do is they need a defensive stop, slow the game down. The last thing Solon is very good at getting things to snowball. You know, the offense will score. The defense turns the ball over, and the offense goes right back at it and gets back on the scoreboard. That's the sign of a good team. You know, they call it the quick change or transition type football. Solon does it as well as anybody.
And they're not afraid to take that shot, too, after a turnover. They're not afraid to come out. I mean, they might sometimes come out and run the ball and play it safe, but Jim McQuaid is not afraid to say, just got to turn over, let's go down the field and let's get a score real quick.
Let's take a live look in down south, a GCL battle. It's Elder with the football and taking on LaSalle. As Elder and LaSalle, looks like LaSalle has a 7-3 lead, but Elder with the ball on the doorstep deep in LaSalle territory is a nice job running the football by Tyreek Daly as Tyreek Daly gets down near the 10-yard line. They're at the 11, so it'll be 2nd down and 8. You see, second quarter, inside of 5 minutes remaining in the first half. And the Elder Panthers trying to take the lead as they trail 7-3. And this time, being flushed, it's Danny Neiman, and he's brought down basically right at the line of scrimmage. Nice play on the defensive front by Joseph Stacy. Also in that, Eric Johnson. So now it'll be 3rd down and 8. Be interesting to see here. 3rd down and 8. Panthers wanted to throw there. Good coverage by the LaSalle Lancers. LaSalle, a Division II team. Elder doesn't have a spot locked up in Division I Region 4, so they need a win. They're in pretty good shape even if they lose. If they win, they got a shot at hosting again, and the Pit, no fun to play there. There's the design quarterback draw, and it's Michael Bittner. That's the running quarterback. Lancers didn't know that. They got fooled by it. We knew. We've known. Michael Bittner gets into the end zone. 9-7 pending the point after as the Elder Panthers take the lead on LaSalle. So, 9-7 point after coming. Yep. It looks like they're going to try to knock it through and make it a 10-7 lead, but that's something that the Panthers have done. We looked in of EH Sports quite a bit this year, ehsports.com, the student production arm at Elder High School, so we appreciate that look in. Bittner's a guy that you better realize he's going to run the football because he does it a lot and he does it pretty well. And he did make the point after, so it's 10-7. And
sometimes it's coming, but it's just executed really well because obviously there's a reason it's worked. So, a nice downfield block he had in front of him, and he got into the end zone. Interesting about LaSalle, they've only lost to one Ohio team this year, and that was the team in Coleraine that all we've done is rave about on this show every single week. So, pretty good resume for LaSalle.
And Dave, to your point, there aren't any teams in Division I Region 4 that want to play Elder in the Pit. No. Ask St. Ed's about how tough it can be playing in the Pit. That was St. Ed's one loss so far this season, 15-9 against Elder, one of the most difficult places to play. You want to talk about home field advantage. That is a true home field advantage for Elder. So if they have one of those home playoff games, chances are Elder's looking at advancing into the postseason. That's how difficult it is.
And Region 4 is a lot. That's still up in the air. I mean, Coleraine locked up the number 1 seed basically. St. Xavier has to beat St. Xavier from Louisville. They're state ranked in Kentucky. They have to beat them to get into the playoffs in all likelihood. And you could be, if you're Coleraine, you could end up having to play St. Xavier in week 1 as the 8th seed. So, hey, you're the top seed. You get to play St. Xavier. Yeah, their record isn't great, but they've played the toughest schedule in the state.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Way to go.
You had a great regular season. Now, best of luck to you in the playoffs.
And, oh, by the way, if it is Coleraine, this is a St. Xavier team that lost in overtime to Coleraine. So, Coleraine remembers exactly what happened in week 2. They remember how close that game was.
And you can be sure St. Xavier remembers what happened losing in overtime.
Like, that's one of those situations where because you lost in overtime, just getting it into overtime with Coleraine, that's a huge, huge step in the right direction. So that means if you go into the postseason, you're not going to be as awestruck as another team is going to be going up against number 1 mighty Coleraine.
You almost feel like if you lost in overtime to the top-ranked team in the state early in the year, it's kind of like, boy, I want another shot at them.
Sure.
I guarantee you that's the mindset for St. Xavier. And if you're Coleraine, it's like, well, we got to play them at some point. Might as well be week 1. You know what I mean? It's one of those. You're resigned to it.
Yeah, because look, we know in overtime, once you get to overtime, all bets are off. The best team doesn't always win in overtime. You line up at the 20-yard line, you keep going back and forth until somebody wins. Anything can happen.
You turn the ball over, you're in trouble. You just never know what happens in an overtime game. So, as the night unfolds, it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But again, you don't want any part of Elder in the Pit. We're going to step aside as the games are nearing halftime, as we've seen. Time for us to take a quick timeout on the Friday Night Huddle, along with Dan Labbe and Chris Fedor from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. We'll be right back after this quick timeout here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel and cleveland.com.
athletes need proper sleep for optimum performance. So do fans. To be your best, you need your rest on a properly fitted mattress from Mattress Warehouse. A good night's sleep on the right mattress prepares you for whatever the day throws at you. Visit Mattress Warehouse for a custom sleep assessment, and we'll help you find the right mattress for a great night's sleep and a productive day. Sleep like a champion, play like a champion with the perfect mattress from Mattress Warehouse.
The best thing Tri-C did for me was give me opportunities. The workforce program prepared me for the career I have now. I got a job in the aerospace industry where I work on CNC machines. I have 3 younger brothers. I want to teach my brothers, hard work actually pays off. Come to Tri-C. It's a great stepping stone to wherever you're trying to get to in life. My name is Chris Grooms, and I got my start at Tri-C.
Saturdays, after the big game, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is Ohio's destination for all things college football. Join Les Levine and Anthony Lima as they break down all the day's action. Listen in live on Coach Urban Meyer's news conference and take your calls on the road ahead for the Scarlet and Gray. More sports and Les Levine postgame. Saturdays after the game on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
I'm Stipe Miocic, world heavyweight champion for Nature Stone, and Cleveland's first hometown champ. Fighting can be brutal, so can mold, mildew, or flooding on your basement carpet or tile. Get Nature Stone and never replace your basement flooring again.
Hurry, act now. Get Nature Stone and save up to 50%. That's up to 50% off authentic Nature Stone flooring.
Nature Stone, like me, simply the best.
Act now. Call or visit naturestone.com today.
Football fans, huddle up. Friday nights are about to change forever with Friday Night Huddle. From pregame to postgame and everything in between, Friday Night Huddle is the place for Ohio football action. Combining the resources of cleveland.com, classic teleproductions, and Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, Friday Night Huddle gives you unprecedented coverage. You can be part of the action, get updates as they happen, on cable, online, and on point. Friday Night Huddle. Dominion East Ohio is proud to salute young people in our area who work toward their goals both in the classroom and on the field. We're proud to serve our community and are committed to making a difference. Each year, Dominion partners with schools throughout the region and the entire country to develop new programs aimed at strengthening math and science education in our schools from kindergarten through high school. For more information about our programs, services, and community involvement, www.dom.com. Dominion, it all starts here.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tuesday nights are for Ohio college football. And now, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is teaming up with your favorite site where Ohio State fans gather, 11 Warriors. Join Marissa Contapelli and the pros who know the team best as they preview the week ahead. 11 Warriors Report, Tuesday nights at 7, only on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
It's the Week 10 Super 25, the final one of the regular season. And making it back into the Super 25 at number 25, Massillon Jackson. The Polar Bears improved to 7-2 with a 17-point win over Green a week ago. They face Hoover tonight. Midview moves up a spot to number 24. The 8-1 Middies put 55 on the board in their win over Avon Lake last week. Midview faces North Ridgeville tonight. Cincinnati Elder checks in at number 23. They had no problem with a team from Florida last week. They faced LaSalle, a top 5 team, to finish off the regular season this week. 6-3 McKinley falls 3 spots to 22 after losing to Massillon Perry by a point, 7-6 a week ago. The Bulldogs have their rivals, Massillon, waiting tomorrow afternoon. And Massillon Perry moves up to number 21 after that 1-point win over McKinley last week. The Panthers face Glen Oak to end the regular season tonight. 7-2 Dublin Kaufman checks in at number 17. They shut out Westland a week ago. They have a date with their biggest rival, Upper Arlington, tonight. Turpin moves up 3 spots to number 20 after beating Glen Estey 41-7 a week ago. Turpin finishes up with Loveland tonight. Chardon stayed perfect on the year, 9-0. The Hilltoppers beat Brush 49-28 a week ago. They face Willoughby South tonight. Upper Arlington checks in at 18. The Golden Bears beat Central Crossing 49-17 last week and face 17th-ranked Dublin Kaufman tonight to end their regular season. Hilliard-Davidson grabs the 16th spot. The 7-2 Wildcats scored 56 in their rout of Marysville last week. They face Westland tonight. 8-1 Stowe was impressive, giving Brecksville their first loss of the season 41-7 a week ago. The Bulldogs are ranked 11th this week, and they will face North Royalton tonight. Hilliard-Bradley, 8-1 on the year, shut out Worthington-Kilbourne 16-0. They finished the regular season this week against Delaware Hayes. Columbus St. Francis de Sales, a perfect 9-0 on the year. They beat St. Charles a week ago and will play Mount Vernon tonight. 8-1 Solon rolled over Shaker Heights 43-6 a week ago. The 13th ranked Comets play 8-1 Medina tonight. Trotwood Madison checks in at the 12th spot. They beat Xenia last week and finished the regular season against highly ranked Wayne last night. Time for the top 10 in our Super 25. 8th ranked St. Ignatius keeps rolling. The Wildcats improved to 8-1 on the year with a 17-point win over St. Xavier down in Cincinnati. The Cats are getting ready for their showdown with one of the top teams in our rankings, St. Ed's, tomorrow evening at First Energy Stadium, home of the Cleveland Browns. Avon keeps flying high. The 10th ranked Eagles stayed perfect with a 42-7 win over Berea Mid-Park. A pretty good Olmsted Falls team is waiting, and that's who the Eagles will finish the regular season against tonight. Pickerington Central checks in at number 9. The Tigers improved to 9-1 by beating Reynoldsburg last week. They face Grove City tonight to wrap up the regular season. Olentangy Liberty stays number 7. They improved to 9-0, but it was a doozy. They won 20-13 in double overtime against Olentangy Orange. A date with Westerville South is looming tonight. Toledo Central Catholic stays unbeaten and remains the 6th ranked team. The Fighting Irish beat Toledo St. John Jesuit 49-7. They will face Lima Senior this week. On to the top 5 of our Super 25. The Coleraine train just keeps a-rolling. Coleraine stays number 1. The Cardinals improved to 9-0 with a 31-0 shutout of Lakota West last week. They finish off the regular season tonight against Cincinnati Oak Hills. The Wayne Warriors are ranked 2nd in our Super 25. They finished off the regular season last night against 12th ranked Trotwood Madison. St. Ed's needed a last-second field goal to beat Moeller last weekend down in Cincinnati. The 7-1 Eagles have a date with St. Ignatius tomorrow evening at First Energy Stadium. LaSalle, 7-2 on the year, stays 4th in our Super 25 rankings. The Lancers finish up the regular season with a tough one tonight against Cincinnati Elder. And Hoban, the defending Division III state champs, hold down the 5th spot in the Super 25. The Knights beat NDCL last week and will try to improve to 9-1 on the year against the Benedictine Bengals tonight. That is our final Super 25 of the regular season.
And one of those teams in the Super 25, the Solon Comets, and locked up in a pretty good one in the first half with the Medina Bees. Both teams 8-1 on the year. Solon in Division I Region 1, Medina in Division I Region 2. And the Solon Comets with the football trying to extend their lead. And the handoff goes to Thomas Wilkes. Thomas Wilkes kind of breaking through and getting out, and nobody's going to bring him down. Thomas Wilkes, 54-yard touchdown run, his 3rd touchdown of the game. and it puts the Comets ahead 22-14. Thomas Wilkes doing a heck of a job.
I think Solon might be pretty good, guys. They might have a pretty good football team. By the way, I don't think I've ever seen a player just turn and throw the ball about 15 yards to the official like Thomas Wilkes did at the end of that play.
Well, here we go. Jimmy Daw trying to answer, and he does for the Medina Bees. Medina's pretty good too. They're not going to go. They're not going to go quietly.
Are you going for 2 here, Fedor?
No, it's too early to go for 2.
They're going to go for 2 though.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
please tell me they're not.
I bet they do.
You see, 2 points away from tying it up. A little different in the high school game.
The second quarter.
But everybody's going for 2.
That doesn't mean
everybody's doing it.
Well,
come on, Chris.
What's the old saying? If everybody is going to run to a bridge, are you going to follow?
I don't think that's quite the saying.
What is it? What is the saying? Something like that.
They're going to go
let's just watch the play.
They're going to go for 2. And again, Jimmy Daw is the back there, and little drive option, back against the grain, a little flea flicker, and it is converted. A nice job as they get the 2-point conversion to tie it up, and a nice job of grabbing the 2-point conversion for the Medina Bees by Will Mercurio, wide receiver, who grabbed it as they got a little fancy, little handoff, and then there's the touchdown by Jimmy Daw, and the 2-point conversion ties it up at 22 as they flip it to the back coming around, and then it's thrown into the end zone. Mercurio grabs it. I like it.
That was a slick play. I'll give you that much. I don't love the decision, but
that was a slick play. If you're going to go for 2, you got to do something like that.
Well, sure.
Make it worthwhile.
Sure. I liked the play. The play itself was very creative and innovative.
Right,
unfortunately, they probably can't use it again the rest of the way, especially into the postseason because it's already out there, unless they have a counter to that.
But think about it. You've got to respect both the quarterback, Whitaker, and more importantly, Jimmy Daw. You're gonna, if you're a linebacker, you're bringing the linebacker. You're trying to bring the trombone section. Anything you can get in front of Jimmy Daw, you want in front of Jimmy Daw, and that's why that works because you come back against it and Mercurio wide open. Really well-designed play, obviously.
For sure.
What a fun game so far. 22-22 that first half.
How about Medina putting up 22 in the first half against Solon, a defense that allows 11 per game, a defense that has held a number of great offenses in Northeast Ohio in either single digits or just a couple of scores. So kudos to Medina. It's been a heck of a season.
Don't sleep on the Bees. They're in Division I Region 2, so these two teams are in different divisions come playoff time. Both of them will be playing next week in Week 11. We're going to go to the phones. Bryant Kaiser joins us. He has an update on the Notre Dame Cathedral Latin Padua game. What's going on out there, Bryant?
We are at halftime in Padua. It's 7-7 still. At halftime, both teams trying to run the ball and basically get nowhere. Defense is up there, and I think we're the first one at halftime.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, though. Defense is the sign of most playoff teams. You impressed with both teams' defense so far, Bryant?
Yeah, I'm impressed with both teams because Padua is missing their star quarterback. He's been out sick for 2 weeks, so they're really missing his Peterson. They're really missing his leadership. So that's why we had 7-7 with, they got to run the ball. They're using a dual quarterbacks. Number 10, he's a right-handed quarterback. Then they got another guy who's a lefty. So it's once 10 is in, he's running. The other quarterback, he's a thrower. So that's why we had 7-7.
All right, Bryant Kaiser with an update. The first game at halftime. That kind of makes it tough on Coach Polovasic trying to get into that playoffs with, and he felt really strong. Peterson, one of the best quarterbacks in the area, and you got to find a way to get it done.
Yeah, you build your offense around that guy, and then you lose him, and now you've got to use 2 guys, and that can be a little jarring for an offense. But like you said, you're at this point. You have to finish at this point.
Right.
It's 7-7. All right. So now it's 24 minutes to try and get that playoff berth.
You know what? You're finding a way to hang in there. You're finding a way to get it done. We're going to find a way to head to the phones. Bill Mayville joins us with an update from Hudson and Brecksville. What's going on with the Bees and the Explorers, Bill?
Hey guys, it was a pretty quiet first half for most of the action so far, and both teams really turned it up late in the second quarter. It's 10-7 Hudson going into halftime. All the scoring really came in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the second quarter, so it's been a fun game so far.
Defense dominated, or has the offense kind of been moving between the 20s? What's going on with the two teams there, Bill?
Both teams defensively have been pretty good. They've been pretty stout. They forced a lot of punts and 3 and outs. A couple guys have been spending a lot of time in the backfield. Victor Orzen for Hudson has been in the Brecksville backfield for most of the first half, it seems like, and they've really kept Brecksville under wraps. Brecksville's only scoring drive came on one big explosive play, a 36-yard pass down the left sideline to set them up, and they scored with 15 seconds left in the quarter.
Who ended up scoring for Hudson to give them the lead?
Kevin Callahan had a 1-yard touchdown run to give them, at that point, it made it a 10-0 game, and then Luke Sternad came back with a 1-yard touchdown run for Brecksville.
All right, Bill Mayville, we appreciate it. As obviously the Suburban League championship on the line there as well. Hudson needs it to get a home playoff game, and we've been kind of going nonstop about the importance of having a home game in the first week of the playoffs as well.
And for Brecksville, tough sledding offensively recently. They were scoring so many points, then they go to Stowe last week and only put 7 on the board against the Bulldogs, and those 7 points were early in that game. Now they've only scored 7 against Hudson. This is a team that we kind of were keeping an eye on as they got off to that 8-0 start, and their offense has kind of hit a wall here as they're at halftime of this game.
Well, another game that we are following closely is the Copley Indians taking on the Bedford Bearcats. Copley had the early lead. The Bearcats cut into it with a touchdown. Indians offense trying to get untracked again, and the Copley Indians with the football. And going and still going. It's the quarterback, Austin Brenner, dives into the end zone for the touchdown. The Copley Indians extend their lead, and you can tell that little zone read going Weston Bridges draws a lot of attention. And Austin Brenner showing he can do it with his feet and his arm, as you mentioned earlier, Dan. 23-12, Copley pushes that lead back out to 2 scores, 11 points. 23-12 they lead.
Couple rushing touchdowns now for Brenner, so that's good to see. And Weston Bridges, we haven't heard that name a lot. I'm sure Copley wouldn't mind kind of taking it easy on him tonight, getting him rested and ready for the postseason.
And I think that's a great sign for Copley that we haven't heard his name all that much tonight, and yet they're leading Bedford 23-12.
Another game that we're keeping an eye on, a battle of Division I teams, one in Division I Region 1, another Division I Region 2. It's not the Solon Medina game, it's the Cleveland Heights and Lorraine game. And Lorraine had the early lead. Cleveland Heights kind of drew closer. And now the Lorraine Titans, actually it's Cleveland Heights with the football. A good look at the Tigers trying to build this lead against the Lorraine Titans. And here's a little shot into the end zone, touchdown grab, nice little pitch and catch, and Lorraine leads that now 14-6 as out to a 14-0 lead. The Tigers come back. Cam Seawright with the touchdown pass, 14-6 the score.
And obviously get that back to within a 1-score game. I know you don't go for 2 if they score again before halftime, but get it back to within what is technically a 1-score game. And now maybe things loosen up a little bit for you offensively.
Yeah, you slow down the game. You don't let it get away from you early. And, you saw late first half. So good job by the Tigers. That game in danger of Lorraine kind of running away with it. And that touchdown before half, huge momentum swing. And it just slows down the game, gives you some confidence, and lets you go about and continue to do what your game plan was coming into the game.
I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to do a thesis. I'm going to do a paper on going for 2 and not going for 2. I seem to be in the minority here between you guys about going for 2. You're all like, just go for it anytime. Why not? It's high school. Just throw everything at them.
You know what? The NFL is doing it more and more as well. I mean, Pittsburgh comes to mind immediately as somebody that lines up and does it. I think if you have
Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. And
if you have the type of skill position guys where you feel comfortable spreading it out, it's tough to defend.
I've got a simple rule. It's very, very simple when it comes to going for two. And it doesn't mean that coaches that do it are wrong necessarily. It's just that we're on a different page. Only go for two when you absolutely have to go for two. That's when I wait. Because it's very, very difficult at times. Because you don't want to be chasing that point, especially against some of these teams in Northeast Ohio. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think the other thing that factors into it in high school is what's your kicking game like.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
without question.
And I'm not surprised. You know, a lot of teams struggle with the kicking game, as we see, especially when it gets colder, wetter, you know, all those things where the ball becomes like a rock when you kick it.
But that would go into if you have to.
I understand.
If you have
what
to
you're
go
saying.
for two, you go for two because you don't trust your kicker, and
Correct.
I get that. Sure.
Yeah, and you know, with a lot of them, that's I think what factors into it quite a bit.
And in 10 years, when the NFL's extra point is 50 yards away, well, that's why they keep moving that extra point back to make it more and more difficult and less predictable, and which is sort of where high school football is at.
Thought you were going to toss some analytics at me for a minute there, Dan.
Analytics folks love the 2-point conversion. How about that?
Well, if you're Padua, you got to feel pretty happy, and you've touched on it.
Yep.
Now you've made it a 24-minute game. And you find a way, you know, if you're in there and you're talking to the Bruins, the main thing is, okay, defense, you guys are playing great.
Right.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're giving us a chance.
It is an opportunity, I think, for the defense to redeem itself after last week because it was 13-3. They led against Lake Catholic entering the fourth quarter, and then they gave up 13 unanswered to lose the game 16-13. So a chance for the defense to get some redemption, close game again. Now it's up to them to really, really put the screws to the opponent.
Well, Tim Bielik is on the scene as Medina and Solon are doing battle, and it has reached halftime. Tim, what's the latest with the Bees and the Comets?
Well, we just at halftime, all tied at 22. It has been an outstanding game between two teams that look like teams that are in the playoffs, as they should be. Both 8-1, they've played like it. Solon got the jump early after Medina missed back-to-back snaps, one of which led to a safety. They led 9-0 in the first. Medina's rallied back with some great play from quarterback Alex Whitaker, and, of course, Jimmy Dawes been doing his thing. But the big story has been Solon's Thomas Wilkes, 3 long touchdown runs. If he's not at 200 yards right now, he's pretty close because he's broken out some great runs. Medina with a pick in the final seconds to send us to halftime, tied at 22.
Talk a little bit about the way the defense of you have to be pretty impressed. Tim, I know you've seen Solon play. What about Medina putting 22 on the board against a pretty good defense? That's pretty impressive in the first half, without question.
Yes, it is. And the big thing about Medina that sticks out is it's a big football team. When you look at Alex Whitaker, the quarterback, 6'5", 230. Jimmy Dawes, the running back, 6'4", 223. One guy I've liked who's made a few plays, Will Mercurio, the junior receiver, 6'5", 202. Those are 3 big guys for Medina, big in size, and they've all made some key plays tonight. And that size is tough to deal with for anybody.
Tim Bielik, we appreciate the update. We will keep checking in with Tim throughout the night. That one's turned out to be a heck of a game. We kind of thought it might be with both teams being 8-1. The Bees trying to show the aberration was last week against Solon, or against Euclid rather, in the mud and the slop that is a all-grass field, as they've come out and played very well against one of the top teams, one of our Super 25 teams, without question. Solon deserves to be where they're ranked, and the Bees showing they're going to be a factor coming up.
And that's only the second team to get 22 or more now against Solon. They gave up 28 to Elyria, and they gave up 21 to Brunswick. And they've played some good offensive teams. I mean, Aurora is a good offensive team. We know about Stowe. Menor is a very good offensive team. They scored 8. So Solon can play some defense, and Medina has kind of exposed a little bit. And that size I thought that Tim brought up is important, because when you have a quarterback that maybe you're not completely sure about, that maybe needs a little help from his receivers, having guys that you can just throw the ball up to and know they're the only ones that can go and get it is a pretty big thing.
Think about the zone read with Whitaker and Daw as well.
Yeah.
So 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
They're going to be as big as most of the defensive linemen. Now they're, at 230, 240, they're giving away 15, 20. But that's to a defensive lineman. If your linemen get a little bit of a crease, all of a sudden the quarterback and the running back have a big size advantage on the second level guys. And that's what I think Tim was getting at.
Yeah, and what do they have in the water there in Medina? They were all big. They just had that kid on the basketball team, John Teske, I think was his name, 7 feet tall, going to Michigan. I mean, what's going on in Medina?
And kudos to Dan Sutherland, because he's now using his third different quarterback so far this year. And ask anybody around high school football, ask anybody in football in general how difficult that can be. Ask the Browns how difficult it can be to use an abundance of quarterbacks in such a short time, because so many things change for your offense. It's not that you're changing your quarterback. Sometimes you're changing your wide receiver. Sometimes you're changing your defensive back. Sometimes you're changing the amount of snaps that a guy is going to play. So the third quarterback for Medina already this year, and here they are looking like they're ready to go for the postseason.
Yeah, and you touch on that, the snap, the exchange.
Yep.
And if you're running the zone read, the other thing that's really important on that is the mesh point with the running back. That all takes a lot of time to figure out and work out and work well. We'll check in with Nate Klein. Nate is following the Bedford and Copley game. Nate, he joins us. It's halftime. Nate, what's going on with that game?
Hey, good evening, guys. Hey, Copley just tried to put a few more points on the board, but their 38-yard field goal was no good. They're up 23-12 right now at halftime.
What's really stood out in that first half with the Copley offense? Who have you seen kind of really hurt Bedford?
I'd probably say the quarterback Brenner. Just their little, their read option. He'll find his holes where to strike into. Recently, he just put up some more points on the board on the 28-yard run, but probably most likely Copley. Brenner. But one note to point out, nobody is throwing in the middle of the field. They know how dangerous each other's teams are with those big plays, but nobody's attempting in the middle of the field. I think both teams have probably only completed one pass tonight.
Has Bedford been able to take care of the ball? I know last week turnovers were a big thing with the Bearcats. Have they been turning it over, or have they been able to take care of the football in that first half?
A very early struggle in the first quarter. I think eventually Sean Williams, got in their faces like, we can't do this. We can't do this again tonight. We can't have another game. And, they corrected that in the second quarter. They tried to go for a couple of fake plays. I'm going to have to talk to Coach later, just like were those designed, where it worked out in favor of Bedford. But, yeah, they had their early couple ones there. And, hopefully we'll see what happens in the end, see if they can hold on to this.
Have you been impressed with the speed? Has Copley been able to handle the speed of Bedford? When we think of the Bearcats, we think of that speed and the playmakers. Have they been able to kind of hold that in check a little bit, you think, Nate?
They are doing their best, but a few of them are very elusive. All they can do is try to contain as many of them as they can, but they got away a couple times, and that's how they've been able to put 12 points on the board so far. But again, they're still trailing this game in the halftime. So,
all right, Nate Klein, we appreciate the update on Bedford and Copley. Another game that we are tracking is the Olmsted Falls and Avon game, and Mike Fitzpatrick joins us with an update of that game. Mike, what's going on with the Eagles and the Bulldogs?
Well, it's halftime right now, and Avon, the number one ranked team in the state in the Associated Press Division I poll, or Division II poll, I should say. Pardon you. They lead 21-14 at the half. Matt Kelly, their quarterback, has connected on 2 touchdown passes, one of 36 yards and one of 37 yards, both to Mitch Cooper. And Aaron Ingersoll also has a 17-yard touchdown run for Avon. Spencer Linville having a huge night once again for the Bulldogs. He has unofficially 96 yards and a touchdown. He scored on a 2-yard touchdown run right before the end of the half. 21-14, Olmsted Falls hanging tough with the number one ranked Avon Eagles. Both teams playoff bound.
Mike, when you look at it, Bulldogs able to run the ball pretty effectively. Is that something that you think they can build on? Is that something you expect Avon maybe to figure out what they're doing? How has the running game of the Bulldogs kind of played out in that first half?
Well, I mean, they're creating big holes for Spencer Linville, and he is a runner who runs the contact. He's 245 pounds, has a little bit of shiftiness to him, a little bit of speed, and he's just been wearing them down. So, I mean, they've been able to get what they needed from Spencer Linville, and their offensive line has been able to open some holes, which is kind of surprising because Avon's been dominating defense this year.
As you look at it, it sounds like the Eagles able to make those big passing plays that they've really kind of, I don't want to even say big passing plays, able to spread out the Bulldogs defense and throw the ball like they want to?
Well, both these plays were like, identical plays. They ran Cooper down the middle of the field, and it was just, Kelly hit him dead on, he was a couple yards ahead of the defender, and they were just both beautiful pass plays. But, they're also worried about Mason McLemore. So he's a, speedy running back who had been, hurting them a little bit. But they've been susceptible to pass. I've seen Olmsted Falls a couple times. They're susceptible to the passing outside and, down the middle.
Does it look like this is going to be one of those games where they just keep scoring? Is that the sense that you're getting, that both of these offenses are going to be able to do what they're doing?
Pretty much. And Olmsted Falls, I've seen them. They're a gritty, gutty team. I mean, this would mean a lot to them to be, stay competitive with Avon and even maybe, shock the world and pull an upset. But, I mean, they're a gritty bunch. Spencer Linville, Brett Hutke at quarterback. They got some big defensive linemen. I mean, they want to make a statement for the program, and, both teams are going into the playoffs, and you want to go in on a win, of course.
All right, Mike Fitzpatrick, we appreciate the update. Halftime of Avon and Olmsted Falls. Avon 21-14, and I think Mike hit on this. That's a pretty nice half of football by the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs. Now, can you finish it up? Can you follow it up even with another good half of football?
Yeah, and that's kind of what they did against Midview, too. We expected a shootout against Midview and maybe Midview to pull away as the game went along, but it never actually happened. Olmsted Falls showed, hey, we can hang around with these guys. And actually right now, Midview may be their most likely first-round opponent, so this is a very good warm-up against Avon. But when you have a guy like Spencer Linville, like Mike mentioned, runs to contact, can take a hit and keep on going. Well, there's that one-on-one matchup that you can win right there. And then you get into that second level a little bit. You can grind a little clock. You can stay in a game against anybody.
But Dave, I think you mentioned the big thing when it comes to playing against Avon. Avon is so good. They have separated them so much from the rest of the other teams in Division II that it's going to take 48 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, is Olmsted Falls, anybody else in Division II, going to have to play great for all 48 minutes. There are teams that have played well against Avon for a half, but they do it for all 48 minutes, so you better have your A game for all 48.
It's kind of I haven't been to an Avon practice in a couple of years, but it was really interesting the way Mike Elder ran it, because he ran two sets of offenses to make sure that it was up-tempo. It was like watching a basketball practice. Literally, the quarterback was the only guy that doubled back and played. He ran two sets of wide receivers, and they got up to the ball, and I mean, it was up-tempo, up-tempo, up-tempo. And if they didn't do the right thing, oh my, they were running. And they were running and running and running.
Yeah.
And, eventually they ended up doing the things that Mike Elder demanded that they do. But it was very interesting to see the pace at which they practiced at. And that's one of the reasons that they're able to spread you out and run the offense that they do.
And that's just kind of the type of guy Mike Elder is, too. I mean, whenever you talk to him, I've tried to do some pregame interviews with him. You're always on the move when you're talking to him. If you're, maybe just a couple seconds late getting to him, you're going to miss him for the whole pregame. He's a guy that moves, and he's a guy that's going to play the game and coach his team the Mike Elder way every single time.
Without question. And you know what? It's working. They've gone to the playoffs a number of years, and they're poised. I guarantee you, nobody wants the Avon Eagles in playoffs.
But I mean, number one, that's the standard that he has set for that program.
Correct.
And number two, when you're playing that fast, it can be tough at times.
Oh, it is tough.
One little mistake here or there can throw off the entire timing of the play. It can throw off everything that you're doing. So he understands that for them, for Avon, going into the postseason, it's about the fine points. It's about cleaning up the small, intricate details that sometimes you don't get to see.
Yeah, and it was really interesting to see. I had never seen that type of offense played at that pace. And again, it was 4 or 5 years ago. Oh, it was constant. I mean, I'm just like, whoa, this is exhausting watching. I can't imagine being a receiver. because I mean it's like doing suicides constantly for 2 hours.
And the other thing that's always stood out to me too about Avon, when you watch them warm up, their receivers are running fly routes 50 yards down the field. You think, is he going to wear these? The idea is to keep these guys fresh for the game, but
I guarantee
it doesn't matter.
you
They're just running fly routes and getting back in line
I guarantee you,
and
after
doing
the
it
way
again.
I've seen them practice, they can't help but be fresh because they know, pregame's going to end in 25 minutes. Those practices last 2 hours. Well, we're going to take a step aside, take a quick timeout here on the Friday Night Huddle as the game's here in the final week of the regular season, Week 10, getting ready to start the third quarter. We'll be with you through the end of the games, and we'll also hear from the coaches during post-game. We're going to take a quick timeout right now here on the Friday Night Huddle, along with Dan Labbe and Chris Fedor from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Just as athletes need proper sleep for optimum performance, so do fans. To be your best, you need your rest on a properly fitted mattress from Mattress Warehouse. A good night's sleep on the right mattress prepares you for whatever the day throws at you. Visit Mattress Warehouse for a custom sleep assessment, and we'll help you find the right mattress for a great night's sleep and a productive day. Sleep like a champion, play like a champion with the perfect mattress from Mattress Warehouse.
The best thing Tri-C did for me was give me opportunities. The workforce program prepared me for the career I have now. I got a job in the aerospace industry where I work on CNC machines. I have 3 younger brothers. I want to teach my brothers, hard work actually pays off. Come to Tri-C. It's a great stepping stone to wherever you're trying to get to in life. My name is Chris Grooms, and I got my start at Tri-C.
Saturdays, after the big game, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is Ohio's destination for all things college football. Join Les Levine and Anthony Lima as they break down all the day's action. Listen in live on Coach Urban Meyer's news conference and take your calls on the road ahead for the Scarlet and Gray. More sports and Les Levine postgame. Saturdays after the game on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
I'm Stipe Miocic, world heavyweight champion for Nature Stone, and Cleveland's first hometown champ. Fighting can be brutal, so can mold, mildew, or flooding on your basement carpet or tile. Get Nature Stone and never replace your basement flooring again.
Hurry, act now. Get Nature Stone and save up to 50%. That's up to 50% off authentic Nature Stone flooring.
Nature Stone, like me, simply the best.
Act now. Call or visit naturestone.com today.
Football fans, huddle up. Friday nights are about to change forever with Friday Night Huddle. From pregame to postgame and everything in between, Friday Night Huddle is the place for Ohio football action. Combining the resources of cleveland.com, Classic Teleproductions, and Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, Friday Night Huddle gives you unprecedented coverage. You can be part of the action, get updates as they happen, on cable, online, and on point. Friday Night Huddle. Dominion East Ohio is proud to salute young people in our area who work toward their goals both in the classroom and on the field. We're proud to serve our community and are committed to making a difference. Each year, Dominion partners with schools throughout the region and the entire country to develop new programs aimed at strengthening math and science education in our schools from kindergarten through high school. For more information about our programs, services, and community involvement, www.dom.com. Dominion, it all starts here.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tuesday nights are for Ohio college football. And now, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is teaming up with your favorite site where Ohio State fans gather, 11 Warriors. Join Marissa Contapelli and the pros who know the team best as they preview the week ahead. 11 Warriors Report, Tuesday nights at 7, only on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
Welcome back inside the Friday Night Huddle, and the Barberton Magics closing in on their first playoff berth since back in 1998. As they need to win this one. They knew they needed to win it going in, and they're taking care of business in the first half. 32-0. They lead a pretty good Revere team at halftime. So way to go, Barberton Magics and head coach Tony Gatto. And this one, another one, Westlake needs a win to try to get in and lock down a playoff spot in Division II. They were 3-7 a year ago, won the last 2 games of the regular season, trying to go 7-3 and lock down a playoff spot here in Jason Hall's second year, and a 7-point lead for the Westlake Demons on Berea Mid-Park in the second quarter. So we'll continue to monitor those as teams trying to reverse their fortunes and lock up a playoff spot here in Week 10. And you know what? Good for those 2 head coaches, Tony Gatto, who we actually heard here on Friday Night Huddle last week, and also Jason Hall. And I've said this a number of times. Jason Hall, perennial playoff team at Massillon, was a playoff team when he coached the Brush Arcs, was a playoff team when he coached Ravenna Southeast. Everywhere he goes, he makes the playoff. That's a sign the guy can coach, and he's about to start doing it at Westlake. Had a chance to talk to him in Week 7 last year. So they lost Week 7 to North Ridgeville, to Mario McCall and that team that was a playoff team. But they were really competitive. They won their last 2, and he felt like he was onto something with the Demons, and he obviously knew what he was talking about because they're playing very well.
And that momentum can carry over in big ways sometimes when maybe you don't get where you want to get to, or maybe you're a little bit ahead of schedule. That momentum, though, to finish strong like that can carry over. And I mean, if they win this game, they are essentially into the playoffs.
They're going to be in the playoffs if they win, barring something really strange happening. We're going to head to the phones, and Mike Patika joins us with an update at halftime of Elyria and Menor. And, Mike, it looks like the scoreboard's blowing up there at Jerome T. Osborne Stadium, huh?
Well, yeah, if it was a different era, they would not be able to salvage it, in fact, probably, because Menor outscored Elyria 36-27. That was just in the second quarter after a relatively quiet first quarter. So Menor leads 42-34 at halftime over Elyria. We've had 642 yards of total offense. 350 of them by Elyria, but they committed 4 turnovers, and they also failed to recover a pooch kickoff that led to a Menor touchdown. Of course, we have some big individual numbers here. Menor quarterback Titus Tatarunas, 11 of 18, 228 yards and 4 touchdowns. His top receivers, Steve Baird, Manning Trubisky, have combined for the 4 scores, 8 catches, 218 yards. On the Elyria side, quarterback Dante Beckett having a big-time game. 19 carries, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he's 10 of 14 passing for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. So we're just trying to keep up with things here because what's the saying? Keep your head on a swivel. It's kind of like 24-second clock at an NBA game, keeping up with this.
Yeah, no question about it. It might be the defense that finally stops the offense on back-to-back possessions has the advantage. 4 turnovers for Elyria, so that's kind of they've kind of shot themselves in the foot there offensively. Then.
Yeah, 3 of them set up Menor scores, and and a couple of them stymied their drives into Menor territory.
All right.
So it definitely.
Mike Patika, you've got the high-scoring basketball-football game of the night, so we'll check back in with Mike as that game progresses. We appreciate the update, but wow, 600-some yards of offense in the first half.
Well, if this is Menor's last game of the season, they're going to get their money's worth out of it, that's for sure. They're going to go out scoring a ton of points.
The other thing is the turnovers. Yeah. We've talked about it. We talked about it last week with Bedford. you can't turn the ball over 4 or 5 times at any level and expect to win a football game. You can't.
Right. I mean, that's something that when you see a team that has lost 3 in a row or 4 in a row and you start to wonder, okay, what the heck is going on with this team? Usually the explanation's pretty simple, and usually the explanation is turnovers. And you just can't do that, especially in scoring range, too, right? When you think that you've got your offense going well, and you do have your offense going well, and then you get into scoring range and you can't capitalize, you leave those points out there. Chances are that's going to come back to bite you in the fourth quarter.
And you know, Tadas Tatarunas, 4 touchdown passes, and Stephen Baird has really become his main receiver this season. So that's an offense that you knew would get untracked. It might be, for Cardinal faithful, it might be a little too late.
They played Strongsville a couple weeks ago. The final score of that game was 42-26. So, and they still have a half left in this game against Elyria. So, look, if you are Elyria and you're turning the ball over, I guess you want it to be in a game like this where there's probably still going to be a lot of points and a lot of possessions out there to be had that kind of minimizes some of those possessions where you gave the ball away.
But the flip side of that is against you give an offense that has, Tatarunas, Gullick, and those guys enough chances, they're going to hit 50, 60, 70 if you keep giving them the ball.
Yep. Yeah, you've got to stop turning the ball over at this point, but you've got a chance to maybe minimize those mistakes if your defense, like you said, it might come down to whatever defense can get 2 stops in a row.
Yeah. Or whoever has the ball last, as the old saying goes. You just want the ball last and feel like you've got the best chance that way.
Well, the Cleveland Heights and Lorraine game has come to halftime. Matt Gould has a halftime update for us. Matt.
Hey, this is Matt Gould for coming from halftime, where Cleveland Heights is trailing Lorraine 14-6. The difference in this game has been, I'll start with before play even began. Cleveland Heights was flagged for a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty. As they came out onto the field, they sprinted from, I'll show you, right back here where they came out, all the way over back there to Lorraine's sideline. Couple flags went flying, and Lorraine got short, very short field position to start this one. They actually started right at midfield or so and took a long drive running that shotgun double wing set. And Carlos Chavis, as you probably saw earlier, scored the first touchdown for Lorraine. They were up 8-0. Both teams, neither teams I should say, are really trusting their kickers. They both have them, but they've really opted against them. Lorraine went for 2 on that first try, converted it. Went for 2 again when, as you probably saw earlier, Nosbo Hannon had that block punt return for a 45-yard touchdown, put Lorraine up 14-0. Again, Lorraine went for 2, didn't get it that time on the run. Cleveland Heights then also, Cleveland Heights does have a kicker, but they did not go for a monster. Summers' touchdown catch from Cam Seawright, which was 19 yards, and they were stuffed in the backfield on a run, and that's where we are at 14-6. Again, as I said, that flag on that first, before even play began, has been the real big difference because it really allowed Lorraine to get going. Methodical offense here for the Titans. Hopefully I can get some stats to you guys a little bit later, but that's where we stand, 14-6 at the half.
There you see the score, 14-6, and yeah, I mean, in a game like this that you expect to be close, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
I mean you don't help them out.
Yeah, I mean, without having actually seen what happened, but still, I mean, you're right. Don't even give the ref the opportunity to throw that flag. No matter what you might think of the flag itself, just don't give them an opportunity.
No. I mean, you expect to be fighting for your playoff existence. Don't make the hill any higher than it needs to be. And that's when you give a team that's as hot as Lorraine's been. They've won 7 in a row. They lost their first 2. They've run off 7 wins in a row. They don't need any help. They're playing pretty well as it is. So I hope something like that doesn't end up costing Cleveland Heights in the long run.
And Chris, you kind of alluded to this too, talking about the turnovers. We've seen Lorraine as a team that knows how to take advantage when you give them gifts. They're fine taking gifts and taking advantage of them.
That's what they did last week against Bedford. And, Max Stevens, the head coach of Cleveland Heights, NFL guy, chances are, he's not going to stand. There are things that you accept as a coach if you lose based on those things. If you lose because you're undisciplined, that's one that's really going to stick with a coach a long, long time.
Yeah, and you know, Dave McFarland, the coach at Lorraine, longtime head coach at Elyria Catholic when Elyria Catholic was really, really good. So he's a guy that has been, you know, this isn't his first rodeo, as they say. He knows exactly what's at stake and how important a first-round home playoff game could be for his Titans. So he, you know, that's all he's trying to do right now. His mindset is lock up this win, lock up a first-round home playoff game, and let's get to week 11 and see if we can get to week 12 and then see where we go from there.
Yeah, make somebody get on that bus and make
exactly.
that drive to Lorraine. You'd rather do that than get on a bus and have to drive someplace else.
Well, another game in Division I where we have a Division I Region I team against a Division I Region II team, Medina and Solon. As here is a live look in, and you see tied up at 22 early in the third quarter, and there is a good look at the Bees trying to take the lead, and that's Jimmy Daw. Let's take a look. Jimmy Daw, oh look at the hole. Jimmy Daw gets the corner, and Jimmy Daw, he's a big kid. You're going to have a tough time bringing Jimmy Daw down. They're inside the 20, so it's now 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line, and there's Jimmy Daw fighting forward and a good pickup. So second down, 3-4 yards.
You can just see what kind of runner he is on that last play.
Yeah.
He made it. He stiff-armed a guy. He had good blocking, and then he made the one guy miss that he needed to miss to get some extra yardage. And even that run, look, it's 2 yards, but it's a good 2 yards. You kept the ball moving forward.
And you see how big the quarterback, Alex Whitaker, is.
Yeah.
6'5", 230. They list Daw at 6'4", 223. That would be called a big back set between your main two guys.
I mean, that's a pass rusher in the NFL, really. But
and look at him spinning free, Whitaker, inside the 10. Took a big hit at the end, but he's close to the first down.
Could have been a sack, and instead looks like they moved the chains.
You know how they say sometimes you turn on the tape, you watch a team play, and then the field slants towards people? When you watch Medina, you can't help but notice Whitaker and Daw. That's where your eyes immediately go.
So it's 1st and goal, ball spotted at the 8-yard line, just over 9 minutes remaining. And
I think they're going to measure this thing. But you see, look, Solon is such a disciplined defense, and I think you saw it on those plays, but Medina was still able to take advantage and just react quickly and do the right thing.
Well, keep in mind, Alex Whitaker, 6'5", 230. Now, he plays tight end normally.
Right.
So they moved him, and they did get the first down, so it's 1st and goal. But that's not your normal quarterback. You're trying to, be careful with the pressure, guys, because this is a tight end we're trying to tackle in the backfield there. And that's a huge advantage. Credit to Coach Sutherland for coming up with that.
Yes, and he did it last week out of necessity because they're playing against Euclid, and it was in the mud, and it was the bad weather, and he said, hey, look, my team needs something else. So he goes to him, and then
there's
3
the
touchdowns
screen,
later.
And there's, boy, he could have crawled in.
Oh, my goodness.
Jimmy Daw gets into the end zone. Great call. You saw how much they came after Whitaker the play before. So what do? Let him come after Whitaker, and you dump it off to Jimmy Daw. He gets into the end zone. So the Medina Bees, 28-22, point after coming. Hey, Division I, Region II, Medina Bees are for real.
And I think that game last week against Euclid was beneficial from the standpoint of they got down and they came back. So now if they go into the postseason and they're down, like they were down tonight against Solon, they've got some kind of experience to draw back on and say, hey, we've been in this position before. We did this before. They did it last week against Euclid with their third quarterback, Whitaker. They found something with Whitaker, and that momentum has carried over here against Solon. Even most teams go down against Solon early, and they start to get panicky. Medina did not, and now they got the lead.
And here is a live look in Bedford and Copley. Copley in Bedford territory, and you see the Indians with that 11-point lead. You can see this game in its entirety at 11:30 on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. Austin Brenner, a little play action looking, and it's picked off. Heck of a play defensively by the Bedford Bearcats is coming up with the interception. Trenton Cloud, the safety, plays it perfectly, and comes up with the interception. Actually, it's Keith Wilkins, linebacker and defensive back. Wilkins comes up with the pick, and a heck of a play. There you see, Wilkins just read the play. I mean, he broke on it perfectly. He was looking for the back coming out of the backfield, as that was Weston Bridges, who was the intended receiver, and he's going to draw some attention. So Wilkins comes up with it, and there is the handoff. That's the running back, Gunter, Tyshawn Gunter, who had that touchdown run that we saw earlier. So you see, early third quarter, the Bearcats defense comes up with a play, and there is the man that I spoke of earlier who plays both ways, Trenton Cloud.
Yep.
Knees go down, so he's down immediately after his knees touch.
He's one of those playmakers, though.
Yeah.
3-star wide receiver on his way to Toledo. And for Bedford, great to see the defense coming up making a play. It looked like Copley was going to put more points on the board. We have talked about Bedford needing at times to get defensive stops. They haven't been able to do it. We've talked about Bedford not being able to force turnovers and get the ball to that explosive offense. A lot of pressure on that Bedford offense, but that was one of those situations where the defense came up. Now it's up to the offense of Bedford, the explosive offense, to capitalize on that miscue.
And you could see Indians trying to get the ball to Weston Bridges, the Michigan State recruit.
I would too.
Heck of a job by Bedford to realize that, though, too. Wilkins knew that was coming. That's good coaching defensively by the Bearcats.
Yeah, and that's a situation where you have to get that turnover. And for Bridges, hasn't caught the ball a ton, but he's got 12 catches, has a touchdown reception, so he is a guy you have to be aware of in the passing game.
And we saw that feature on him last week. He's got that look of a Spartans, Michigan State Spartans running back. Kind of big, kind of does the glide, and then, you come up, he'll run you over without question.
Yeah, he's a very smooth runner, kind of sneakily powerful, though. Like you said, he'll run you over, very fast, has that burst when he gets into the second level. He's a nice back. I'm excited. He's one of those kids you're excited to kind of see what he does at the next level.
We're going to check in with Bryant Kaiser. He joins us with an update on NDCL at Padua. Bryant, what's going on with the Bruins and the Lions?
Well, the Lions are up 21-7 with 3:23 to go in the third quarter. They had a second-half opening kickoff by Jake Fedor. He went 98 yards, and they just scored again. They had a 12-play, 60-yard drive. The quarterback, Charles Force, punched it in, and NDCL leads 21-7.
So the Lions defense still able to do the things that they were doing in that first half. Did you kind of sense that opening kickoff of the second half kind of swing some momentum, did you sense?
Yeah, NDCL, the Lions, they're looking more ferocious now.
All right.
Stopping them right there. They just putting the hits on. Especially number 32, Manny Malone. He's a junior defensive lineman. He's played a pretty good game.
All right, Bryant Kaiser with an update as NDCL opens up a 14-point lead with a couple of quick touchdowns in the third quarter. Lions trying to lock up their playoff spot, Division IV, Region 13. So it'll be interesting to see if the Bruins can come back and make a run. Obviously, without their quarterback, their big quarterback, a little bit of a tough hill to climb for Padua.
Yeah, when you're your team that's so reliant on that quarterback too, and now you're behind, that's sort of the worst case scenario. And for NDCL, obviously a win essentially gets them in. Padua a loss, they're essentially done. So we talk about things getting a little bit tighter. It's even more tight when you can't really throw the ball a lot, when you've got to get back into it by running.
And we talk going into the playoffs, guys, so much about who are you, what do you have, can you compete in all three phases? NDCL kickoff return for a touchdown last week against Hoban. Kickoff return for a touchdown tonight against Padua. They've got a kicker who's already made a couple of 40-yard field goals. So when you're talking about special teams sometimes being the difference once you get into the postseason, NDCL has the special teams, what we've seen in the last 2 weeks on lock.
Yeah, and those are huge momentum swing type plays. It not only boosts you on the scoreboard, the other team just kind of goes, "Ugh." You know, it's one of those. It's not. It's just deflating. You kind of. It's not a way you expect to give up points, and when it happens that way, it's not good for the opposition.
And you plan to come out, right? You come out of the locker room. You know the situation. All right, let's go out there. Let's get a defensive stop. Well, wait, we can't now. They just took that away. The momentum just completely. Any chance to seize momentum is gone.
Well, one of the games we're keeping an eye on, Cuyahoga Heights and Independence, and the Cuyahoga Heights Redskins coming off that big win against Kirtland, the first time they've beat the Hornets in a number of years, trying to follow up with a win over a pretty good Independence team. And Cuyahoga Heights in the red comes up with the defensive play. It's an interception, and they're going to the house. A pick six for Cuyahoga Heights against Independence, and you see Cuyahoga Heights no letdown after that big win over Kirtland. 38-3. The Redskins leading Independence in the third quarter, and you wouldn't expect Cuyahoga Heights to let down. Al Martin's been around the block a couple of times, and he knows you need to keep that rolling. They're trying to finish off a perfect regular season for the first time in a while. That's a program that always seems to be in the mix in the playoffs, and they're pretty much aware what's waiting for them. That Kirtland Hornets team that they beat 21-0 a week ago, they'll see him in a couple of weeks.
Not just a Kirtland Hornets team, but a Kirtland Hornets team that you went and kicked their nest last week. They're all fired up and waiting for you if you're able to get to them in the postseason.
That'll be an interesting game coming up in a couple of weeks. In all likelihood, that'll be a little bit further down the road, but that game well in hand for Cuyahoga Heights is they have the 31-point lead on the Independence Blue Devils. Well, let's check in with Bill Mayville. He is at the Hudson-Brecksville game. Bill, what's the update there with the Explorers and the Bees?
Okay, we've reached the end of the third quarter, and it is now Hudson 17, Brecksville 14. Brecksville's got the ball in Hudson territory right now. They're facing. They actually just picked up the first down, so it's 1st and 10 to the 42.
Hey, Bill, what's going on in that third quarter that jumps out to you as you get ready for the fourth?
You know, I think the big series that really stood out for me was the opening series of the half. Brecksville got the kickoff and was moving the ball a little bit, turned the ball over on their own 34 on a fumble, and their defense stood up and forced 3 negative plays and a punt, so they made sure that the turnover didn't hurt them. From there, Brecksville found a little bit of space in their passing game. They're hitting guys downfield, moving the ball a little bit. Hudson's doing the same thing, so teams are starting to find their stride offensively a little bit.
All right, Bill, we appreciate it. We'll let you get back to that fourth quarter action. Very tight game as Hudson needs that one to lock up a first-round home game. Brecksville needs that to improve their playoff seeding. Both teams likely in, but if Brecksville loses that, they're going to be in the bottom 2-3, which is going to be a tough first-round matchup. So Brecksville obviously wants to win that, get a little bit more favorable first-round game. Hudson wants it because they want a home playoff game.
And there's a lot of conference implications there, too. Obviously, it has nothing to do with the playoffs, but you've got Stowe trying to get a share of that conference. Hudson and Brecksville both, whoever wins that game could get a share of that conference title. So there's a lot of conference implications in that game, too.
And Brecksville wants it because they haven't gotten it since 2011 against Hudson.
Well, there's that.
I mean, obviously, since they started playing annually in 2011, Brecksville, the closest they've come is a loss in overtime a few years ago. So also, they don't want to lose 2 in a row going into the postseason. Talk about the loss last week against Stowe, got blown out 41-7. You don't want to go into the playoffs on a 2-game losing streak, having lost against the 2 toughest opponents that you've played on your schedule, the kind of opponents that you're going to see in the first round of the postseason.
Well, and, Coach Black was pretty adamant when we heard him in postgame. He didn't like the way his team responded against Stowe. I think he's got to be pretty happy the way they've come out and played against Hudson. That 17-14 heading into the fourth quarter, you got the ball in Hudson territory. It's first down. Let's see if you can get it on the board. See if you can get it in the end zone and take the lead and then put the pressure back on Hudson.
I mean, to some degree, you could say that loss for Brecksville Broadview Heights against Stowe was one of those schedule losses because we were talking about the schedule at the beginning of the season, and yes, you can only play who's on your schedule, but it was a huge step up at competition in Week 9, the first real playoff opponent that you've seen, and it can be an eye-opener, and it can be a little bit of a shell shock situation for your team. You play against Stowe, you see that caliber of opponent, now you're more ready for Hudson in the final week of the regular season because of that.
Well, another game that we're keeping our eye on, a Division I, Region I team trying to earn their way into the playoffs. The Glen Oak Golden Eagles taking on the Perry Panthers. Glen Oak had the early lead, and Glen Oak trying to build and get that rolling. And the Glen Oak Golden Eagles touchdown pass. So Tate Rhodes getting it done, and we'll obviously, we're pushing the limits of technology here. We'll check back in with that in a minute. But Glen Oak came into the night really needing a win to kind of lock down their playoff spot. They controlled their own destiny. They knew they go out and they beat the Perry Panthers. They're part of the Division I, Region I playoffs. Not an easy region to earn a playoff spot in, and they did it last year. A little bit different setup this year, as you're in 4 regions as opposed to 2.
Yeah, I think we've seen that squeeze a little bit too.
Yeah.
A team like Menor is ideal, and here it looks like we got the play dialed up.
There's Tate Rhodes, little play action, throws, wide open, touchdown pass, and a nice job by Tate Rhodes. And you see the Golden Eagles taking care of business. That's a Perry team that's a playoff team in Division II. But Glen Oak, 24-3, they're going to lock down one of those playoff spots in Division I, Region I.
And hey, look, as commissioner of the Federal League, you talk about playing your best football going into the postseason. The only team to get more than 2 touchdowns against St. Ignatius, check. A win against Canton McKinley, check. Beating Lake, check. Getting your starting quarterback back and feeling like you're playing your best football going into the postseason. Look out.
And that play was an example of the problem Tate Rhodes can cause, because when you're inside that 5-yard line and he's your quarterback,
you better come.
You've got to make sure you're watching for him, because he can beat you with the run, and then they sneak a couple guys behind the defense, and he hits them with a pass, a good throw too.
Yep.
So he can cause a lot of problems for you inside that red zone, especially.
Chris, it is really nice to see you embrace the commissionership of the Federal. We had to thrust it upon you a couple of weeks ago.
This wasn't even his game of the week, so I think maybe it's time for a recall.
Well, here's the thing. The Federal League, it's a big pie, and I had to split up and give you a piece of the pie for the first time all season long, Dan. I could tell you were hungry.
You're going to have Jackson, who's in Division I, Region I. You're going to have Canton McKinley, who's going to be in Division I, Region I. You're going to have Glen Oak, Division I, Region I. Perry's going to be in Division II. So, we're giving you a little bit of grief, but they're playing pretty well in the Federal League this year.
That's right. And as Glen Oak wins, that was one of those bubble teams coming into tonight. Thought, hey, it could go either way. Now you're talking about, Euclid.
Right.
Oh, your chances get a lot more difficult. Menor, your chances get a lot more difficult because of Glen Oak controlling the game the way that they're controlling the game tonight.
Let's head to the Copley and Bedford game. Let's take a live look. And again, you can see this game in its entirety on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel beginning at 11:30 tonight. Copley Indians with the football. There's their head coach, Scott Chenard. And you see a little over 4 minutes remaining, third quarter. Copley leading by 11. So they're hanging on to that 23-12 lead. Second down and 12 for the Indians at their own 45-yard line. And Austin Brenner is and that's going to be their fullback running in there. It's not Weston Bridges.
He's done a nice job running the football tonight.
I know they're using him as a change of pace.
He just kept stretching this play out, making guys miss, followed his blockers, and just waited for that lane to open up.
Blake Traylor, who had that long touchdown run that we saw in the first quarter.
And look, it's really smart for Copley, too, because Copley knows going into the postseason, people are going to focus on Weston Bridges, so you got to get more people involved.
It's third down and 1. in spite of what the graphic says. 3rd down and 1. Traylor picks up the first down, gets inside the 40-yard line, down to the 39-yard line. So Blake Traylor doing a nice job, and now it is 1st down and 10 as they get a fresh set of downs right at the 40-yard line of Bedford. So Indians trying to put some distance between themselves and the Bedford Bearcats. Now Bedford definitely has the skill position guys to score in a hurry, but you start getting into that 15 to 22, 23 range, and the clock becomes, you're not only playing Copley then, you're playing the clock.
And we saw they were unable to take advantage of that turnover too. And those are the types of things that get you back into games, is taking advantage of turnovers. Here we go again.
Blake Traylor.
He's got the speed to get to the corner too. How about that?
Well, he plays linebacker. He does play both ways. You know, how nice is it? You've got a D1 back in Weston Bridges. And you know what? Let's give Blake Traylor the ball and let him run the football. And he's doing a nice job.
It does so many different things, and one of the things that it does keeps Weston Bridges fresh. So he's got fresh legs, and he'll probably come in the 4th quarter. And then all of a sudden, you're going up against a D1 kid on his way to Michigan State with fresh legs because you got somebody else who has taken enough off of his plate.
And the other thing to note too, and Dave, I think you and I were both on this game last year in the playoff game. Weston Bridges got banged up, and they didn't have him in the second half of that game. So to have another guy that is getting some snaps here, getting some carries and some opportunities, because you never know what can happen when you get into the playoffs.
Well, you know, we're watching Copley take on Bedford here, a live look in. Again, you can see that game at 11:30 in its entirety on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. Copley Indians have a unique way of practicing, and we went out and visited with Copley as they were getting ready for the late season and also their postseason run.
No, it's not a dance party. It's the Copley football team on the practice field, where head coach Scott Chenard keeps things loose.
We like to have fun. I mean, I think I'm pretty enthusiastic, upbeat, always talking.
Coach is great. I love Coach. He's really doing a good job. He came to this school and our team was not great, and I think he's made us great.
Yes, the Indians work hard too.
You know, they've really embraced the weight room, the off season, and then the goals that we want to set as a team. So it's been very nice going into year 3, not having to reteach a bunch of things.
Coming off a Suburban League championship, Copley has had back-to-back playoff appearances with its fast-moving spread offense.
It's fun, but it's really tough because you got to be in great shape, and you got to know the signals. So you got to be able to go at fast pace, and you got to know what you're doing, or else you can't play.
Yeah, well, a lot of us are used to it because we ran it in Pee Wee a little bit, so we got a little exposure to it then. But yeah, the spread offense is a lot of fun.
These 23 seniors grew up playing football together and making fun of each other too.
I met Weston when we had band class together. And then he had a saxophone in his hands, and he said he played the drums. So then I made fun of him. And ever since then, we became friends.
Well, it was hard work because all of our dads wanted their sons to do their best. So, but it was a lot of competition, and we just had that chemistry right off the bat.
So the Indians are having fun and winning football games too.
You know, all you have to do is walk into our locker room, and we've got footballs on the wall with the years that we've won the Suburban League, and so that tradition is talked about.
We were talking about the other day that we don't really have as many goals anymore as much as expectations. So we expect ourselves to be the best.
Before I decided to go back to Tri-C to become a nurse, I was a stay-at-home mom. Absolutely wanted to be a pediatric nurse. I love taking care of kids. If you're thinking about changing your career or changing your path, go to Cuyahoga Community College. I feel like I'm in a great place in my life. I have 3 great kids. I have a great job that I love. I could not have done it without Tri-C. My name's Diana Geary. I earned my nursing degree from Cuyahoga Community College.
Just as athletes need proper sleep for optimum performance, so do fans. To be your best, you need your rest on a properly fitted mattress from Mattress Warehouse. A good night's sleep on the right mattress prepares you for whatever the day throws at you. Visit Mattress Warehouse for a custom sleep assessment, and we'll help you find the right mattress for a great night's sleep and a productive day. Sleep like a champion, play like a champion with the perfect mattress from Mattress Warehouse.
Wednesday nights, more sports and Les Levine is live at 6. Then at 7, Access Crew SC. And at 7:30, High School Blitz Preview. It all starts Wednesday night at 6. Follow us on social media at TWC Sports OH. Across town and across the region, this is where fans belong. Time Warner Cable, SportsChannel.
The Emmy Award-winning High School Sports Insider features Ohio's best high school sports stories. For 17 years, the High School Sports Insider has been spotlighting role model students, outstanding athletes, and the Buckeye State's best teams. In-depth features from all sports, all school year long. For the best high school sports coverage, make sure you tune into the High School Sports Insider each and every week on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
As World Heavyweight Champion, Clevelander, and spokesman for Nature Stone, we'd like to present you with our own award.
Wow, it's awesome.
We had it made ourselves. It's made of...
Not the award, the floor.
Oh, it's Nature Stone.
Installed over concrete, Nature Stone flooring is tough, durable, long-lasting, and beautiful. Act now and get up to 50% off.
This is the only time you'll see me on the floor.
To schedule your free in-home consultation, go to naturestone.com today.
Football fans, huddle up. Friday nights are about to change forever with Friday Night Huddle. From pregame to postgame and everything in between, Friday Night Huddle is the place for Ohio football action. Combining the resources of cleveland.com, Classic Teleproductions, and Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, Friday Night Huddle gives you unprecedented coverage. You can be part of the action, get updates as they happen, on cable, online, and on point. Friday Night Huddle.
Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contebelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays at 7 on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
Welcome back inside the Friday Night Huddle. I'm Dave Bacon, as always, joined by Dan Labbe from cleveland.com and Chris Fedor from cleveland.com. Guys, one of the games we have been updating, Glen Oak, the Golden Eagles, trying to lock up that Division I, Region I playoff berth, and opening up a pretty big lead early at 21-3. But the Perry Panthers, they say, hold on, guys, we're not quite done yet. And Nick Myers gets the handoff. It's that wing tee, and he comes scooting through the hole, and forget it. One man misses, and Nick Myers goes 60 yards to make it a, you see team on the back of their jerseys, which is kind of interesting.
Yep.
But 24-9 is the point after, no good. In the fourth quarter, challenge for Perry is they don't throw the ball a whole lot. They're not really built to come back from behind, so as long as Glen Oak doesn't turn the ball over, the Golden Eagles should be in pretty good shape as they lead 24-9 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Perry's usually the team that likes to grind the clock out. And now obviously they can't do that.
They'll run, and then, shorten the game. Right now they want to put time back on the clock. They want to find a way to get the game a little bit longer. It's, a nice run by Meyer to 60 yards to cut into that lead, make it a 13-point game. So it's a 2-score lead right now for the Golden Eagles.
And Menor and Euclid would like more time to go on that clock, too, to see if Perry can make a little bit of a comeback here against Glen Oak.
The Solon Comets and the Medina Bees doing battle, and that game is getting closer. We saw Medina get into the end zone and take that lead at 29-22. Solon Comets, they answer. And it's, we've seen this story before. Thomas Wilkes cuts inside. Thomas Wilkes, another touchdown run, his 4th of the game. That one from about 34 yards out. And it's in the 4th quarter and tied up 29-29. How about them Solon Comets?
Just keep going back and forth. When you're Solon, you expect 29 to be more than enough to win you a football game. But Medina has scored more points than anyone else has against them. And they're going to get the football. Maybe another one of those games where a team with the ball last is going to come away ahead.
My favorite thing on that highlight, big fella, 57, running downfield to throw a block for his running back. That's probably, 30 yards downfield, and he was still out there leading the way and making sure that Wilkes could get in the end zone.
He's looking for one of those little guys. That's what he's
That would be Maurice
after.
Ashford, the offensive lineman for the Solon Comets. So, hey, you know what? When you got
That's what it takes, though.
When you got a guy that's running and doing that, everybody wants to get, all right, what can I do to help spring him? And that's kind of the mindset, not only of the offensive linemen, the wide receivers too.
Yeah, and you saw a wide receiver on the outside getting a block, turning his defender around. And when you have big runs like that, sure, it's Thomas Wilkes and it's his speed and it's his 4th touchdown tonight, but it's also the offensive line doing its job, the wide receivers doing its job. Like, that's what it's going to take to spring those big runs.
And a heck of a job. You saw the cut up the – I mean, it was like, oh, there's the hole, and then he's gone. I mean, it was – he's well over 200 yards. He was close to 200 at halftime. That'll put him over 200. So a nice job by Thomas Wilkes. He's just a junior, guys. First year starting at running back, and you can be sure Jim McQuaid's pretty happy he'll be back.
Yeah, Jim McQuaid loves it when he's got a good running back that he can kind of lean on when he needs to in situations like this.
Well, things are getting interesting in the Federal League.
Oh, my.
Yeah. It was 24-9, and the Perry Panthers, they're not ready to give up on a share of that Federal League title just yet. As taking on the Glen Oak Golden Eagles, and here it is, a pass. Deflected and grabbed into the end zone, a touchdown for the Perry Panthers. Heck of a job. Was not exactly as you drew it up. 24-22.
Wow.
Whoa.
Just like that, snap of a finger.
I had seen that they had recovered an onside kick, but that's sometimes what you need when you're not a team that throws the football a lot. Your opponent doesn't come away with a pick. You come away with a touchdown.
So the Perry Panthers are saying, Dave Bacon, hold on, we're not out of this just yet.
Right.
We'll find a way. We don't throw the ball often, but when we do, we find a way to turn it into points.
Sure. You find a way to have the cornerbacks drop the ball right into your wide receiver's hands. See, when you look up at the scoreboard, it doesn't matter how it gets there. It got there.
If they win this game, though, and they're telling this story to their grandkids.
It was a perfect
40
spiral.
Years. It was, oh my gosh, I'll never forget that throw at the reunion. I'll never forget that throw you made right on the money, right in the bread basket.
You know what? Now things are getting very interesting.
Yeah.
So again, let's see how Glen Oak responds. You know, these are the things that are going to tell you, what, you know, how are we going to do when the pressure of the playoffs hits, because pressure's on the Golden Eagles right now.
Yeah.
Perry, you know, Glen Oak landed a couple of big punches early, and Perry got up, and they're going to fight.
And it's that share of the Federal League, too. It's not like they're just playing a game.
Right.
I mean, they're playing for at least a share of the conference title.
Well, the Copley Indians doing battle with the Bedford Bearcats. We saw, before we went to break, Copley had the ball in Bedford territory, moving and really putting some pressure on the Bedford defense. And the Copley Indians offense trying to make it pay off on the scoreboard. And from inside the 5, this time it's Weston Bridges. You see him get in the corner. And boy, there was penetration. Nobody really blocked, but Weston Bridges got around the corner, and they pushed that lead to 30-12. So Copley opens up an 18-point lead late in the third quarter.
Yeah, just another example of a nice run, just gets it outside. We've seen them have success running the ball outside. When we had the live look-in earlier, we saw their fullback have success run the ball outside. So it seems to be like that's where they can attack Bedford right now, and they just keep going out there.
Well, one of the games where the scoreboard is, blown up and we're losing light bulbs in it is Elyria and Menor, and Mike Patika joins us from Jerome T. Osborne Stadium. Mike, what's going on with the Pioneers and the Cardinals?
Well, after that crazy 63-point second quarter, teams are relatively putting us to sleep here. 4 seconds left in the third quarter, and Menor's expanded that 42-34 lead to 56-34. Have to believe that Menor coach Steve Trevisano's defensive staff got the Cardinals somewhat inspired there during halftime, and Elyria now its fourth possession of the half, and of course they've been shut down, forced punt once and stopped twice on downs, and Menor's built that lead on touchdown passes from Titus Tatarunas to Derek Kleinhens, while touchdown pass to Kleinhens and Isaiah Gaulick's 34-yard run. So the Cardinals look to be in pretty solid control at the moment.
All right, we appreciate the update. We'll check back in with Mike Patika. We'll let him get back to the the third and fourth quarter. So 56 points for the Menor Cardinals. They haven't even started the fourth quarter yet.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter that they're up 22 points. They're going to just keep on running that offense and keep on putting the football in the air. So
Titus Tatarunas now five touchdown passes. And, let's check back in with the Medina and Solon game. And Medina trying to see if they can take the lead and get things rolling as Medina and Solon. Really good football game. Again, both teams will be in the playoffs. This one for the GCC title, really trying to get bragging rights and get that conference championship. And Medina trying to get into the end zone and see if we can get a look as Medina. And it's Jimmy Daw. Look at that hole open up right in front of us. Jimmy Daw gets into the end zone, and the big back. He knows where the end zone is. Yeah. He's been there quite a bit. Wow. And take a look. 36-29, the Medina Bees leading the Solon Comets.
You just don't see this against Solon. Even in Solon's loss against Stowe, it was a low-scoring game. It was 13-10. So only giving up 13 points in their one loss. You don't see a team physically dominate Solon the way that Medina is doing tonight.
And physically dominates the way to put it on, especially on that play, because that was the offensive line. They opened up a huge hole, and all Jimmy Daw had to do was walk through it into the end zone, something he's done a lot this season and throughout his career.
Yeah, it came right at us. The Medina Bees, we've kind of touched on it. If you can somehow, when you lose your first loss of the year, like Medina did last week, sometimes it's the perfect thing for a team, because especially a high school team, you start thinking, we're pretty good. We can do this, and still you cut corners.
Right.
Now you lose. Coach is going to make sure there are no corners cut. You're going to do everything exactly the way I want you to as a coach, because if you don't, that's what happens.
And with Solon now, whether they end up winning this game or not, there's going to be some real teachable moments for Jim McQuaid going into what's going to be a very challenging playoff run for his football team, because they've been cruising ever since that Stowe loss. I mean, they have been just rolling along, barely giving up points defensively. So win or lose, and Jim McQuaid always has teachable moments, but now he's got some real tangible, hey guys, you just didn't play well all around. Let's get after it here in heading into week one of the playoffs.
You look at it and it's like, they're running the football on us.
Right.
Nobody, Stowe didn't run the football on them like that.
Yes.
So Jimmy Daw and Whitaker have run the football very well. Well, let's check back in, and the Perry Panthers, they're at it again. Perry taking on Glen Oak, down by 2. And we've heard this name already tonight, Nick Myers. And there's Nick Myers getting into the clear. Nick Myers. Just short of the end zone.
It looks like.
Just short of the end zone. But you know what? Perry, still, they didn't let it die there. The Perry Panthers find a way to get into the end zone. And the Perry Panthers, here it is, diving into the end zone for the touchdown. And the Perry Panthers, they in fact, all the way back, and they take the lead at 30-24.
Ryan Isley, the guy we have at that game, tweeted right before he tweeted out that highlight, "This game is completely nuts." Yep.
27 unanswered.
Yeah.
It was 24-3 at one time. 27 unanswered for a team that usually is not built to come from behind by that many points.
We were getting ready to bring the Federal League trophy out to him, and Perry said, "Hang on.
Yeah, hold on.
Well, there's still a quarter of football left here." So the Perry Panthers, a nice job of rallying. Now they have the lead. Let's see if Glen Oak can respond, and you know, their playoff future may be on the line here. They certainly are not eliminated with a loss, but you know, you open the door to a Menor.
You've got Menor behind them winning.
You open a door to Euclid. You open the door to there's Cleveland Heights. That's another team if they can come from behind with Lorraine. So Glen Oak needs to respond.
And, you know, if you're Federal League scoreboard watching, which I know Chris Fedor is, of course, Jackson, of course, gets a share of that title if they win. They were leading Hoover. This is about 15 minutes ago, 28-23. So that game's still very much up in the air. If Hoover wins, the winner of that Glen Oak game gets the outright title.
Let's take a live look in at this one. You see Solon trying to answer a 2-point conversion, trying to take the lead, and they get in. So the Comets go for 2, and that gives them a 37-36 lead.
That's a call there by Coach McQuaid.
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot. I mean, we saw it with Hudson a few weeks ago against
Stowe. Look at this line. They swing it out.
That was the Hugh
it's
Jackson.
McCurry. Yeah, there it is. Ryan McCurry fights his way into the end zone. The big back gets it from Bubonics. So Solon scores, and they go for 2 to take the lead, and they get it 37-36 in the fourth quarter. Solon Comets leading by 1.
Yeah, if you're Medina, now all of a sudden it's only a point, but you're playing from behind now. That's completely different than being tied at 36. Now there's a little bit less room for error for you.
Mm-hmm.
I like the aggressive call there.
You're going to keep pushing it.
I like the aggressive call there.
You do you.
Worked.
It did work. Yes.
It works.
That is correct. Sometimes results don't reflect decision making. That's all I'll say. But it did work. It did work, and now they're up by 1, and now you lean on that defense. So this is where you're saying to your players, if you're Coach Jim McQuaid, hey, look, our defense has not been what we usually expect our defense to be. Now you have a chance. Now you have a chance again. Our offense did its job. Go out there, defense, get a stop, and see if you can give it right back to our offense.
And you know, so this one's coming down to the wire just like last week when Medina ended up losing to Euclid. That one came down to the wire and didn't go their way. Let's see if they can turn it. Either way, if you're the Medina Bees, you have to feel pretty good about the way you've played against Solon. You know, arguably one of the top teams in the state. I mean, they've shown they're not somebody you want in the first round of the playoffs in Division I Region 2.
You know, not to mention, you feel like you found something last week. You maybe have another quarterback that you can go to that gives you a different kind of identity offensively that really gives problems. Like, if this is what your offense has been able to do with Whitaker at quarterback against one of the best defenses in Northeast Ohio, you feel like going into the postseason, your offense with him at quarterback, Daw, and then Dylan Foltz on the outside, you feel like your offense is going to be able to hang against anybody.
Yeah, without question, it's been outstanding. So it's going to be interesting to see how the last little bit of that game plays out, without question. And we have the ability to look in live at that. So that's one of the things we will do as we approach the end of the games that started at 7 o'clock, which most in Northeast Ohio do. And it'll be interesting to see. Can Medina answer? You know, they have the ability. They're going to get the football. Can they move the football against Comets? So far, the Comets defense hasn't been able to stop them. Let's see if they can answer that.
Yeah. Coach McQuaid giving his defense, though, an out. Okay? We've done our job. We've given you the lead. Here's your chance to make up for everything you've done over the last 36-plus minutes. Go out there, force a turnover, force them to not be able to convert on 4th down. Do something to get the football back and not allow them to take the lead.
So we're coming down to the wire. And, again, both those teams are playoff teams. Solon will be in the Division I, Region I playoffs and are real close to locking up a home game in Week 1 either way. Medina will be in Division I, Region II as well. They win, they're going to have a home game. They may still get one, you know, with a 8-2 regular season record. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But again, you don't want any part of that. That offense it's rolling right now.
Yeah, you don't want to get into any shootouts with them in the playoffs. And look, anything can happen in the playoffs if they get that offense rolling, like you mentioned, and you get stuck in a shootout. Good luck. They're going to be able to hang with you point for point.
Well, let's check back in as Glen Oak trying to answer against the Perry Panthers. The Panthers have got on a roll to take the lead, and this on the road for Perry. This is at Glen Oak. And Glen Oak trying to answer and retake the lead. And Tate Rhodes wants to throw. But the Perry Panthers come up with the pick. Cleveland gets the interception, plays it perfectly, and then heads up into Glen Oak territory. Look at Cleveland back against the grain, still on his feet, finally brought down, but deep in Glen Oak territory. Perry Panthers authoring quite a comeback. As they were down 24-3, they lead 30-24. So 27 straight points for the Perry Panthers. Looks like they're going to hang on and be a problem for Glen Oak. See if the Golden Eagles can get in.
And look, we're talking about Division II. We're talking about Avon. We're talking about Midview. And all of a sudden Perry is saying, hey, we've ripped off. If they go on to win this one and there isn't a late charge by Glen Oak, they would have won 6 straight going into the postseason, with wins over Lake, McKinley, and Glen Oak. If they hang on to win, that's some good momentum going into the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Perry, a team that, you know, they were in the Division II state championship game against LaSalle last year. Didn't go the way they wanted it to, obviously, but you get to that level and guys expect to find a way to win.
And all we've seen in the last few minutes here is Cleveland out there making plays.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like number 7 is everywhere. And the difference here for Glen Oak, in with a win, and again, according to the Fantastic 50 site, 69% with a loss. I mean, that's a big difference. That means you're sitting around waiting to see how things play out on Saturday before you know if you're in the playoffs.
Yep. You know, you're relying on the teams that you beat to win. Yeah. And that's never an easy feeling, because a couple of them you just don't know.
And one of those teams is Hoover against Jackson.
Well, let's take a live look in at LaSalle taking on Elder, and LaSalle now a 24-10 lead as they are 2 minutes and 13 seconds away from a victory. That's the defending Division II state champions from LaSalle. It's courtesy of EH Sports, Elder High School Sports Student Production Arm at Elder High School. Does a really nice job. And, you know, LaSalle, that's a team you better watch in Division II again. And a nice run down inside the 15 near the 10-yard line. A nice job running the football by Cameron Porter. And you see the Panthers band. That's the pit, one of my favorite places to see a football game, kind of right in the middle of a neighborhood down there in Cincinnati. And it's, again, this is one of those GCL South games. You've got Xavier Moeller, Elder, and LaSalle. brutal schedule because you got to play those 3 teams. And, Elder probably in the playoffs, but it's not a lock and not a certainty now. They need to watch how things unfold, and it might have cost them a first-round home game. Again, you see, trying to rip the ball out and do anything they can to keep it alive. It's a 24-10 lead, but right now, this one's going to end up being LaSalle. They might need to snap the ball one more time, and 3rd down and 11, and that's about it. So the LaSalle Lancers are going to go into the pit, and they're going to knock off the Elder Panthers. Really nice win in a tough environment.
And you mentioned the possibility of losing a home game, Dave. I mean, in the playoffs in Division I, whether it's Region 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes that's the difference between you making it out of the first round of the postseason and not making it out of the postseason, is the fact that you did have that home game. You had that crowd on your side. You had that home field advantage. You didn't have to make that bus trip.
Ride, yep.
So all of those things that we talked about going into tonight that favored Elder playing at the pit, they might have squandered that opportunity, and they might have a short stint in the postseason because of that. If you're looking at maybe matching up against Mason, maybe Coleraine, who knows how far they're going to drop.
Yeah, that's obviously, as you guys mentioned, one of the more pronounced home field advantages in the state of Ohio. That's not just some generic stadium where it's 50-50 and you don't notice. I mean, that is a pronounced home field advantage.
Let's check back in on the phone. Bryant Kaiser joins us with an update of Notre Dame, Cathedral, Latin, and Padua. Bryant, what's going on with the Lions and the Bruins?
We're at a final. The final score is Notre Dame, Cathedral, Latin 24, the Bruins 7.
24-7. What stood out to you about this one, Bryant?
Well, kickoff return, the 98-yard kickoff return by Jake Fedor that gave them really a start up in the second half. Then they had a big goal line defensive stop, and then the quarterback from the Bruins had a couple more interceptions, and then the Lions defense is really was good today. I mean, stopping the run, stopping the pass, and they earned this victory.
Yeah, it really seems like the Bruins missed their starting quarterback,
Kevin
Peterson, quite a bit. You look at that, and Coach Paul Vasic had said this is a guy that's one of the best in the area. Obviously, just a junior, you don't have him, and that really gives your offense a big hill to try to climb.
I got the head coach from NDCL. You want to talk to him live?
Absolutely.
Okay, hold on.
David.
Coach, congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Tell me about this one. Your defense really stepped up and did what you needed to do.
Oh, exactly. I mean, from week one, the defense has been the strong point. That's where we hang our hats. They're fast. They're physical. They don't stop. They're relentless, and they pick us up on offense when we're down. And we were down a little bit in the first half. We had one good drive, came in and challenged the guys at halftime, and we had a full unit, a full team response in the second half. And it was a hard game. Padua had everything to play for, just like we did, and they didn't give up, 1 inch. It was a hard-fought game the entire time.
Coach, how nice was it to see your team bounce back after that loss against Hoban and see the defense bounce back after giving up 41 last week?
Well, really, I wouldn't consider it a bounce back, because at the end of those games, those guys understood that they gave them, they gave the defending state champs in a division higher than us a run for their money. And we were, in there for almost that entire game. And they really saw that as a motivator, really more than, a letdown. And they rolled into this week with it.
Coach Mooney, we appreciate the time. When you look at this, how proud are you of the way your guys responded? This was in essence a playoff game for you as well. You came out and you played pretty darn well.
Yes. A little flat at the beginning, but once they realized that Padua was not going to give it to us, they responded in the manner in which we have built this program. That's hard-nosed, it's power run. Even when we get into a spread, formation, it's a power run offense. And they responded accordingly, and defense continued to be relentless and fly around for us.
How big was that kickoff return to start the second half?
That was, you wish you said you drew that up and you were planning on that to happen. But, like, as it's happening, I'm like, man, I wish we were a little bit better. And then he just scored, So it's so you never know when those are going to happen. There's 4 or 5 plays. I always tell the guys 4 or 5 plays every game that change the entire outcome. And that was definitely one right there to come out, get that momentum starting in the second half and not give it back.
What about the goal line stand? That's something, if you're a physical team that wants to be a power team, you got to take a lot of pride in that as well.
Exactly. I mean, because our defense, we get as much good on good in practice during the week as we can, and so our defense gets run right at them during the week, and a lot of times they frustrate me as the offensive coach because they're so tough, and so they really showed it out there today. They've done that several times throughout the year, stop guys inside the 10, even inside the 5, and that's such a deflator for an opponent to have that happen, and all that momentum swings back towards us, and that was just awesome to happen.
Coach Mooney, congratulations. Best of luck next week. We appreciate the time. Go enjoy it with your kids.
I appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too. Andrew Mooney, obviously thrilled, as he should be.
Yeah, you said it. It was a playoff game for them. They won it, and now they get to play some real playoff games.
I thought it was interesting the way that he looked at that Hoban loss, because you never know how a team is going to look at a loss or how a coach is going to look at a loss. And he said that his players looked at that one as, hey, that was something to build on there. Yeah, we lost by 20 against Hoban, but that's state champion Archbishop Hoban, and we were in the game at one point against them, and they used that, how they played in that, and they carried that into tonight's game against Padua.
And it's important to note that the other thing he kind of pointed out, they're a Division IV team.
Yep.
So, and Hoban is the defending Division III and highly ranked Division III team as well. So, yeah, I get that. But, again, happy to see that for Notre Dame Cathedral Latin and for Coach Mike Polovasic in Padua. They got Kevin Peterson, who's a junior. He'll be coming back. Again, a huge step forward for that team and that program. One win a season ago, and, here we are in Week 10, and they're playing for a potential spot in the playoffs.
More wins this year than the last 2 seasons combined. So that's certainly something to build on. And like you said, a good quarterback coming back for Padua.
And when they miss the playoffs, it's not going to be because their program's not going in the right direction or because they made too many blunders. It's because, in part, they didn't have their best player, Kevin Peterson, a guy that Coach Polovasic talks glowingly about for the last 2 games of the year. And that's very, very difficult for any team to have happen, especially a team that's trying to build a program and get themselves into the playoff picture. So at the end of the season, you can say we're going in the right direction, and we have the right coach and we have the right quarterback, and that's a great starting point.
Well, we've been keeping track of the Solon Comets and the Medina Bees. Solon took a 37-36 lead a few minutes ago with a 2-point conversion. Medina trying to answer, but it's the Solon Comets offense moving the ball down the field, and it's that man again, Thomas Wilkes, into the end zone again.
Do you think it's Jimmy Daw or something?
44-36. It's his 5th touchdown of the game.
Well,
I'm going to lose track of that at some point. Wow. I'm running out of fingers. The shoes are coming off, and I'm going to be counting on my toes here in a minute. But Thomas Wilkes, a big game, and the Comets responding.
Yeah, and we talked about it, okay, defense. It's been a tough night. It hasn't been the night that you're used to. Go out, make a stop, give the ball back to your offense, and see what the offense can do. And that's exactly what happened, and the offense held up its end of the bargain as well, carrying over what they had done the entire game.
Yeah, and I think either way, if you're Medina, you got to feel, and believe me, they're not thinking of this right now, but this is going to be, Solon's going to be better than the team you face next week. Mm-hmm. I truly and firmly believe that to be the case. So you're going to need this same type of fight coming back because Medina's in the playoffs. You're going to need the same type of fight, the same type of performance that you're getting right now. And if you're able to come back with that again next week, it's going to be pretty good for the Medina Bees.
And if this score holds up, you're going to have 2 losses. Those losses are to Menor, who, okay, maybe they're not going to be a playoff team, but that's a good football team. And you had the lead in that game. You probably should have won that game. And to Solon, one of the best teams in Division I. And again, you were neck to neck with them the whole way, scored with them the whole way, did more against their defense than anyone else, including a team like Stowe, including a team like Aurora did against them. So there's a lot of confidence there.
You know, the other thing is sign of a good team is how they respond when they're pushed. Well, Solon was pushed pretty hard, and it's not over yet, but the Comets are responding exactly like a championship team should.
Yeah, because you're going to run into a game like this, right, along the way, whether it's a low-scoring slugfest or a game that just it seems like there's no defense on the field. You're going to run into a game where you're not at your best, and you got to figure out how to win. You got no other choice if you want to keep going.
And you know what? And Chris, you've kind of mentioned this. I think it's a sign of growth from the Stowe game for Solon, because late in the game, Solon couldn't do the little things to win that Stowe game. That's their lone loss. And what I mean by that is they fumbled in Stowe territory, possibly in field goal range, with under a minute left in a game. You know, they could have kicked the field goal to tie. They haven't done that so far. Now, there's still a few minutes left in that game, so we'll see.
Either way, I think this is going to be good for both teams going into the postseason. For Medina, it's an opportunity to say, we were able to hang with one of the best teams in all of Division I, and for Solon, it's a test. They were tested in a way that they haven't been tested since Stowe, and so far they've answered that in the way that you would expect a program like the Comets to answer that.
Well, we're talking about the Solon Comets. The Medina Bees trying to rally and get back to even. If they can, they need a touchdown and possibly a two-point conversion, 44-36. So Medina with the football, trying to get it into the end zone. And Whitaker, little play action. And this one is intercepted, picked off. And it's into the end zone. It's Matt Brown, the linebacker, with the pick six. 51-36. So there the Comets respond perfectly.
Yeah, Solon linebackers making plays, right?
Go figure.
Like they have for years and years.
And after giving up 36 points to Medina, something that Solon has not done all season long, give up that many points, the defense steps up and makes a big play when it matters.
Exactly. That's a sign of a championship quality team. Guys, things haven't gone well. We're going to find a way to make a play when we need to. Matt Brown, he's one of their captains. He's a good linebacker. He just took it in for the pick six, 51-36 the score, as Solon trying to close it out, hang on.
And you know what else Solon couldn't do in that Stowe game was get a stop when they had that 10-7 lead, right? They gave up a couple long passes and the go-ahead touchdown, and they were able to get a stop in this game. Yeah, very different game, but when they needed to stop up 37-36, they were able to get one, and then they built on it. So two instances where they were able to do something in the only game in this game that they weren't able to do in the only game they've lost.
We're going to step aside and take a quick time out here on the Friday Night Huddle as we go to break. This is a story about the quarterback for the Solon Comets, Joe Bubonics. Kind of moved over from the defensive side of the ball to the offense. He's well on his way to leading the Comets to a 9-1 record in the regular season and a first-round home playoff game.
Just as athletes need proper sleep for optimum performance, so do fans. To be your best, you need your rest on a properly fitted mattress from Mattress Warehouse. A good night's sleep on the right mattress prepares you for whatever the day throws at you. Visit Mattress Warehouse for a custom sleep assessment, and we'll help you find the right mattress for
we don't need to do
sleep
Bubonics.
and a productive day. Sleep
aired
like a champion, play like a champion with the perfect mattress from Mattress Warehouse.
The best thing Tri-C did for me was give me opportunities. The workforce program prepared me for the career I have now. I got a job in the aerospace industry where I work on CNC machines. I have 3 younger brothers. I want to teach my brothers, hard work actually pays off. Come to Tri-C. It's a great stepping stone to wherever you're trying to get to in life. My name is Chris Grooms, and I got my start at Tri-C.
Saturdays, after the big game, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is Ohio's destination for all things college football. Join Les Levine and Anthony Lima as they break down all the day's action. Listen in live on Coach Urban Meyer's news conference and take your calls on the road ahead for the Scarlet and Gray. More sports and less Levine postgame. Saturdays after the game on Time Warner Cable, Sports Channel.
I'm Stipe Miocic, world heavyweight champion for Nature Stone, and Cleveland's first hometown champ. Fighting can be brutal, so can mold, mildew, or flooding on your basement carpet or tile. Get Nature Stone and never replace your basement flooring again.
Hurry, act now. Get Nature Stone and save up to 50%. That's up to 50% off authentic Nature Stone flooring.
Nature Stone, like me, simply the best.
Act now. Call or visit naturestone.com today.
Football fans, huddle up. Friday nights are about to change forever with Friday Night Huddle. From pregame to postgame and everything in between, Friday Night Huddle is the place for Ohio football action. Combining the resources of cleveland.com, classic teleproductions, and Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, Friday Night Huddle gives you unprecedented coverage. You can be part of the action, get updates as they happen, on cable, online, and on point. Friday Night Huddle. Dominion East Ohio is proud to salute young people in our area who work toward their goals both in the classroom and on the field. We're proud to serve our community and are committed to making a difference. Each year, Dominion partners with schools throughout the region and the entire country to develop new programs aimed at strengthening math and science education in our schools from kindergarten through high school. For more information about our programs, services, and community involvement, www.dom.com. Dominion, it all starts here.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tuesday nights are for Ohio college football. And now, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is teaming up with your favorite site where Ohio State fans gather, 11 Warriors. Join Marissa Cottapelli and the pros who know the team best as they preview the week ahead. 11 Warriors Report, Tuesday nights at 7, only on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
I can always say that he's a really good player, but he's a better person. He's from a better family than he is a player. So I don't know if you can say anything better about someone than that. So we're glad he's on our side, that's for sure.
He, in this case, is Joe Bubonics, Solon's first-year quarterback who had a good chance to be an All-Ohio defensive back this season, but switched positions because the Comets needed a signal caller on offense.
First of all, it's a great honor to play quarterback for this school, and switching over was made a lot easier by the coaches. They gave me everything I needed to know, and then we just got to play. And the team around me, they make it easy for me.
He was a tremendous leader of our defense the last 2 years. And for him to just say, I'll be the quarterback and totally change his role. I mean, you have people saying he's the potential to be an all-Ohio safety, but that's on the back burner because our team needs him to be the leader on offense. And I give him a lot of credit, him and his family and everything they've done. We always talk about being a true Solon Comet, and I think that's a perfect example of it.
Bubonics has grown up around the Solon football program. His father, Ed, has been Solon's defensive coordinator for 14 years. Joe just wants to win as a senior, and he realizes playing quarterback gives the Comets the best chance at winning this year.
Just the leadership role you have. You get to lead the team. You have all the control in that huddle, and you have the control to make reads on the field, on and off the field especially. It's a big honor to play quarterback, as again I said. I love defense, and I always will, but I like scoring touchdowns too. And so it's kind of mutual. Plus my dad's the defensive coordinator, so playing for him was something special, but also playing offense is really cool.
Leadership and poise are two of Bubonic's strengths. He was the starting catcher on the Comets baseball team that went to the Final Four a season ago. And as a quarterback, he's a dual threat guy that finds a way to beat defenses.
He's a very good player. He's been a varsity baseball player for 4 years this year. Football, same thing. He's composed. He does a good job. And he's one of our captains, one of our leaders. For us to be good, your good players have to lead the way.
All right, and here is a live look-in as it's now 51-43. So the Comets hanging on to that 8-point lead inside of a minute remaining. No timeouts remaining for Medina. And Solon with the football, 4th down and 3. So the Bees may get the football back.
Go for it here if you're Solon. I mean, you feel like you have to, but
I feel like you kick it and you try to give them a longer field,
especially because that clock is gonna.
Oh my! 1 yard. You're
no
Solon.
timeout.
You pride yourself on physicality and toughness.
You've been running the ball pretty effectively.
Nope, they're going to put some time back on the clock.
Okay. Wow.
I think you got to kick it. Although, it's 4th down and 1.
51 seconds is.
Now they'll
wind
wind the clock.
Thing run down to about 25.
Well, the ball's at the 48 of Medina. I think you want to kick it. I mean, that defense has been pretty good.
Normally, I hate playing conservative, but I think you do need to make the field as long as you can.
I agree.
And you see the clock will wind, so it'll be about 24, 25, maybe even 26 seconds.
I'm
and
assuming
they'll
they're
have
going
to
to use
kick
a timeout. There it is.
Yeah.
26 seconds.
I'd punt this. Yeah, for sure. I'm with you guys on this one. See, we finally agree on something, guys.
Wow. And we don't even have to knock each other out with anything to get to get that. Yeah, I think you have to kick it, in part because your defense has been so dominant. Forgive me because they've given up 43 points tonight, but your defense has been so good throughout the course of the season. I think you put it as far in their end of the football field as you can, and you make them drive as long as you can.
And you got to look at it as, you need 2 long plays if you punt the ball, right? You've got to hit on 2 long plays.
No timeout.
In this situation, we don't know the quarterback's arm strength necessarily, but 1 long play at least gets you into gets you a little bit closer at the very least, and then you can actually maybe run something if your receiver gets out of bounds, something like that. So,
I mean, the flip side of it is, they're going to come. If in fact the punter does come in here, they're going to come after and try to block. It looks like the offense is staying on the field.
Wow.
All right.
Well, this is where you talk to your offensive line and say, look, 1 yard, guys.
And they went for 2 in that last situation. Now, they're being aggressive going for this conference title.
Bubonics has punted in his. Now they're going to try to draw him off sides.
Yeah, and then he might drop back and do the pooch kick.
Or they have another timeout, so they'll call a timeout.
There you go.
Okay. Again, I see both sides of it because, the conservative coach would say, I don't know if I want to allow, a potential blocked punt to be what beats us too.
Well, we saw earlier tonight, and obviously Coach McQuaid didn't see it, but we saw earlier tonight a team benefit from a long pass that a defender couldn't haul in and ended up in the arms of a receiver. So crazy things can happen. The ball's at the 48-yard line, so it's not inconceivable that this kid can get the ball into the end zone from there.
Right. Absolutely not. I mean, good look at the Medina Bees. What a game. 51-43. Both teams will be in the playoffs. Offense appears to be staying on the field still. Again, Bubonics is a good enough athlete. He could very well kick it. One of those short snapping kicks. Now they're going to run it. Wilkes got the first down.
All of that for nothing.
Thomas Wilkes, 5 touchdowns, but gets the most important yard of the night as he gets the first down. And now the Solon Comets, you see the guys in white starting to celebrate as they are going to end up winning this one, improving to 9-1. They'll host a first-round game. Very well maybe the top seed in Division I, Region 1.
Good point. Depending on what happens with St. Ed's and St. Ignatius, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, not that that's necessarily any bargain because you could end up playing St. Ignatius in week 1. So, And that's, I still can't figure out how they've played the teams they have and played them as well as they have, and they're still in that 7-8 spot with the game against St. Ed's coming out. Now, if they beat St. Ed's, they could get to 4 or 5, most likely 5, maybe 6. But that's, I guarantee you, people are looking at St. Ignatius going, no thank you. We'll wait and play them a little later in the playoffs if we can, guys.
It speaks to how good that region is. I mean, you start to say, all right, well, yeah, St. Ignatius should probably be higher, but then you start to kind of say, but who are they going to replace? You're pointing at teams that have been so good throughout the season. It just speaks to how good that region has been all year long.
And you knew it was going to be. Again, we've talked a couple of times. I think the OHSA had it right when they had 2 regions in Division I. And, everybody will say, well, every other region has 4 regions. Every other region has 200-some teams. Region 1 or Division I has 72 teams. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason they went to 72 was to create that north and south.
And the separation, because the teams, there were teams that were in Division I that felt they were more like Division II. Now, it's going to really get thrown into the wackiness next year when they do the competitive balance thing. So, I think they had it. I think the OHSAA had it right with 2 regions in Division I. I think this penalizes some people based on geography.
And some of the smaller Division I schools, too, I think eventually will kind of struggle with this because, a team like Hudson was able to move down to Division II. A team like Glenville was able to move down to Division II. And then you get similarly sized schools, maybe a few extra kids had to stay in Division I, and that could end up hurting them in the long run.
So, it's going to be interesting to see, how all this plays out. We'll have all the answers. We won't have all of the answers. We'll have some of the answers tonight. We'll have all the answers tomorrow at about this time after all the Saturday games have played out. And again, just if anybody's wondering at home, the way it works out is there's 2 things that get you computer points. Wins and the size of the school you beat, those are first level points. And then how many wins those schools have are the second level points. You add them together, you average them out, and there's a divisor based on if you've played a Division I team, Division II team. It's based on if you've played up or down. That's basically the crash course on computer points. So bottom line, if you beat a team, you want them to keep winning.
Yep. And that's why so much we say that there are some of these teams that are on the bubble or they're looking for that home playoff game, and they're watching a lot of times the teams that they've beaten, the teams on their schedule that are the signature wins, because you feel like that team that you beat is going to go on and start beating teams and piling up those points. And that's why St. Ignatius and Menor and some of those teams in the past have been able to get into the playoffs at 5-5 or 6-4 because they play such a grueling schedule that they get those secondary points.
Bill Mayville has been covering the Hudson and Brecksville game, and the Hudson Explorers win. They will have a home playoff game next week as they defeat Brecksville. And our Bill Mayville has Sean Surtee, the offensive coordinator for the Hudson Explorers. Take it away, Bill.
Congratulations on the win. What was the difference between the first quarter and then as you got the offense rolling in the second, third, and fourth quarters?
Confidence, and I think we wore them down a little bit. I think with our conditioning and tempo at practice paid off.
Was there a point in the game where you thought you might have to score 50 points to put this game away?
I didn't. I had confidence in our defense and our whole staff and our team, our kids. And no, I didn't think so.
It seemed like Cole got the bulk of the play today at quarterback. Was that by design or was that just...
He has started the game the last 2 weeks as our starting quarterback, and the other 2 quarterbacks in our 3-quarterback system have different packages each week based on the game plan.
And what would you say about assessing the play of your offensive line, especially, giving those guys time to run and room?
Yeah, first half they showed signs of pushing, changing the line of scrimmage forward, and then they showed signs of not. In the second half, we really challenged them at halftime. In the second half, they answered the bell, man.
What does this win mean overall for you guys?
I think it means a home playoff game. We'll see. Joe Idle, unofficial, will let us know. But I think it means a home playoff game. And I don't know who we're going to play.
And at least a share of the division title, correct?
Yeah, if Stowe wins tonight, it will be us and Stowe sharing that title.
From what I saw, Stowe won 34-7 over North Royalton, so
okay.
it should be
that's a share.
You two on top. So,
yeah.
All right, great.
So Sean Surdy, the offensive coordinator of the Hudson Explorers, 31-28. So Brecksville, pretty decent showing against the Explorers as well.
Yeah, and I think they needed that after that game against Stowe. And look, for Brecksville, they don't have to play Stowe again, right? They might have to play a team like Hudson again. So a good bounce back for them offensively. Only scored 7 points against the Bulldogs, got up to a slow start in this game, ended up putting up 28 points, even though it's in a loss.
I am fascinated, guys, by the 3 quarterback rotation. You just don't see that. Doesn't matter if it's high school, college, pros, 2 quarterbacks, you see 3 quarterbacks. I'm fascinated by it, but you know what? It's working.
Yeah.
And head coach Jeff Goff said the other day, look, we have 3 guys that we want to get on the field. So if we rotate our cornerbacks and we rotate our wide receivers and our linebackers in every other position, why not do it with the quarterbacks when they bring different kinds of skills to the table? So from that standpoint, I understand, but that's a lot to ask of your offense because they're different guys, they have different strengths, different rhythm, different cadence, all those kinds of things. So kudos to Hudson for finding a way to make it work.
Well, one of those 3 guys is Colt Pillay, and our Bill Mayville is all over the place. He has Colt Pillay. Take it away, Bill and Colt.
It felt awesome because, I've been working really hard this season, and, credit to everyone else. The other quarterbacks when they were in did well too, and it was just awesome being out there and being able to help my team out.
What was the difference between the first quarter and then the second quarter when you guys started to get the offense rolling?
We were on the sidelines. We were talking about just we need to get this going if we want to make the playoffs, get a home game, and our guys just locked in and we became prepared in the second quarter and the second half, and we went out.
Did you have a feeling that you guys were going to have to score 50 points to finish this game off?
Well, when our defense was giving up a few, I didn't lose faith. I knew we had to come back and score, but the whole time I had faith in the defense, and they came up clutch in big situations.
What does the win mean to you guys overall?
It means a lot. Suburban League champions are share of the league and get a home game in the playoffs, so it's really awesome.
Congratulations.
There you go, Colt Pillay. And, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned the 3 quarterback system. At various times, all 3 of them have played early in games, late in games. Last week against Wadsworth, it was William Wallace, the guy that's the 3rd quarterback who was on the field when they drove down with, less than a minute left to win the game.
Feels like basketball almost, like these guys are going up to the scorer's table and checking in or something in between plays. This is, it's interesting to watch.
Coach Goff said, quote, "I look at it like Ohio State." He mentioned the Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett, Cardale Jones thing. He said, oh, hold on. I'm not saying that my guys are those guys, okay? But I look at it the same kind of situation. He said William Wallace is the under center package. He said that Jackson Parker is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the area, so he wants to take advantage of his legs. And he says Colt Pillay can read the whole defense and make all the throws. So, again, it's about trying to incorporate those different skill sets.
Well, our Bill Mayville was covering the game. He did those interviews that we just saw. Bill Mayville joins us on the phone right now. Bill, give us a wrap-up of this one. What really jumps out about the Explorers and the Bees game tonight?
I think the thing that really jumped out to me was once those offenses got going, they're very tough to slow down and contain. Most of them can put points up in a hurry, and they're very explosive offenses. And, you guys were talking about the 3-quarterback system, and I can attest. I can't imagine what a defense is doing trying to account for 3 different guys, because up at the score booth, we have a hard time keeping track of who's in the game. So I can't even imagine what those guys are going through down on the field.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. The other thing that it does, Bill, is it forces a defense to prepare for 3 different looks and 3 different things. I mean, there's a lot you have to prepare for because you've got a guy that'll run, you've got a dual threat guy, and you've got a guy that, as Coach Goff said, can read the entire field. That creates a lot for a defense to handle.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see the guys. Hudson does a really nice job of playing to each guy's strength. When you get in there, you don't see a lot of, this is the running guy, so we're going to throw it with him kind of trickery stuff. It's more straightforward, like we know what this guy's strengths are, and we're going to play to him. And they do it really well. So it's definitely an advantage if you can pull it off with 3 quarterbacks. I mean, it's no easy task, but I think if you can pull it off, it's a big boon for your offense.
What about the Hudson defense? That's a unit that in spots has been really good. It seemed like Brecksville really got their offense going a little bit later in that game. Did you sense that?
A little bit, yeah. Hudson, for the most part, Hudson did a pretty good job of keeping them under wraps. The defensive line especially really impressed me. They seem to get a lot of push into the backfield. When you get behind by 10 points late in the fourth quarter, you become pretty one-dimensional, and it kind of gave those guys an opportunity to kind of pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. And, the Brecksville offensive line, did a pretty good job of slowing them down, but it looked like they were just content to kind of keep everybody in front of them and make them earn their way all the way down the field on those final couple drives. So overall, Hudson's defense looked pretty good, though. Orison was in the backfield pretty much all game, like I mentioned, at halftime, and he was just a terror for the Brecksville offensive line.
What about Brecksville? What jumped out about them? And Bees are likely in that playoff picture, likely going to get a playoff game. What impressed you about Brecksville?
It's the second time I've seen Brecksville play, and it all starts with their quarterback. Sternat is really good. He's got some weapons out at wide receiver, and they can push the ball down the field pretty fast. And I think that's going to be a bonus for them if they get a playoff game, because you need to be able to score. I mean, you can't rely on winning games 7-0 and turning it on your defense. The defense didn't play bad overall in spots. They had a couple of areas where they had some issues, and I think honestly some of it was dealing with that 3-headed quarterback monster. But overall, the defense made some plays and kept them in it, so the offense got going. So Brecksville looks like a really solid football team right now.
Bill Mayville, we appreciate all the updates on Brecksville and Hudson as the Explorers win that one, and they will get a first-round home playoff game in all likelihood. Let's head back to the phone. Let's check in with Mike Patika. He has an update on the Elyria and Mentor game. Mike, give us the update on this one.
Well, Mentor won 63-34. They led 42-34 at the half after that crazy 63-point second quarter, the two teams combined. But then in the second half, while Mentor's offense continued to flourish, its defense stopped Elyria on all 6 Elyria possessions in the second half. Quarterback Titus Tatarunas led just a balanced, overall great effort by the offense for Mentor. He was 20 of 30, 440 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Steve Baird caught 10 passes for 225 yards. Manning Trubisky, 6 for 162. They each had caught 2 touchdown passes. And Isaiah Golick ran for 166 yards and 4 touchdowns on 16 carries. There were 1,044 yards in the game, 582 by Mentor. And remember, this is just a 48-minute game. And we definitely can't overlook Elyria quarterback Dante Beckett, although Mentor's defense came to play in the second half. In fact, Coach Steve Trevisano said he was not a happy man at halftime after Elyria's offense did pretty much as it pleased in the first half. But Elyria quarterback Dante Beckett ended with 131 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, and 264 passing yards and 2 touchdown passes. And he kept them in the game until, Mentor decided, well, this last regular season game, we have to keep our playoff hopes alive, and that defense showed up. And I guess you guys probably know better than I. We hear here that Lorraine beat Cleveland Heights, which is one of the things that Mentor needed to have happen to keep its playoff hopes alive.
How often did you sense that people in the stands and maybe people on the sidelines for Mentor were keeping tabs on what was going on behind them?
You mean with the Lorraine game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they were very aware of that. And the other big one they're looking at is tomorrow. They really need Shaker Heights to beat Euclid. And, if that happens, the Menor people are saying, barring some upsets in other games where, there'd be some second-level points and stuff at stake, that Menor would have a real good chance then to sneak into that 8th spot.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Mike Patica, we appreciate it. Thanks for the update. There you have it. Menor's still ticking. They need Shaker Heights to get do them a favor and beat Euclid. Euclid wins that, they're likely in.
Yeah, and for Menor, I mean, it's a nervous night. It's a nervous couple days, but you gave yourself a shot with a really nice win tonight.
Sure, and they won 4 straight to finish out the season, and they did it with what you would expect from the Cardinals. Offense. Big explosive plays offensively, scoring 63. If that's how their season is going to end, that would be very, very fitting for the Cardinals to go out like that.
Some fireworks over 1,000 yards. We've seen Menor do that.
In other words, just another day at the Jerome T. Osborne.
Just another day at the JTO for the Cardinals. Well, Mike kind of alluded to the fact that Lorain beat Cleveland Heights. Matt Gould has Dave McFarland, the head coach of the Lorain Titans. They win 8 in a row to end this season, 8-2, and they're headed to the playoffs. Take it away, Matt.
What were you guys expecting? And to talk about Aaron's big play.
Well, they were an empty, and they got a high-state kid over here, and they got great receivers, and so you spread you out. You got to cover those guys, and it was really up to Aaron and our defensive front. And man, what a great play! So obviously, great football players. In a game like this, somebody's got to make a play, and he did it. So real proud of him.
How big is this just for Lorain to bring home the Lake Erie League crown?
Obviously, I think it's pretty big. I don't know the history, but I know this. 4 years ago, I wasn't the coach, I know, but 4 years ago, the last game of the season was canceled because of, violence or something. And so in 3 years, these kids have overcome a lot. And I'm really, I want to tell you what you got to put in the damn newspaper. I got an academic report today for the first 9 weeks. Nobody ineligible, and our team GPA average is a 3.2, one freaking D on the whole football team. That's pretty good. And we got men of great character to overcome a 0-2 start and keep coming and keep fighting. And I'm real proud of our school and our kids.
What entirely can you attribute that coming back from an 0-2 start to?
I just think that we've got great kids. I'm telling you, you look at their grades, you look at them in the community. I don't know, we've got great leaders in our community, in our school, and people encouraging our kids, people rallying around us, and they just kept fighting.
You guys had a similar spot in this game last year. Do you think it makes this any more sweeter?
Yeah, last year we really weren't at this, as far as just grit, true passion and grit, we really weren't at this level we're at right now. So.
Well, there you go. Heck of a GPA. Nice job. And they're going to get a home playoff game. So Region 2, beware. Titans are playing well. They've won 8 in a row. Another guy that Matt Gould, he always is hustling, doing our post-game interviews. Naz Bohannon, defensive end from the Lorain Titans, victorious and headed for a first-round home playoff game. Matt Gould and Naz Bohannon.
Right on the play, we thought they was going to try to go make it to a field goal, but Coach Wilt yelled out, draw, draw, draw. So we told Aaron, draw. He took it upon himself. He went and he blitzed. He made the play.
Wow. And in a game where points was at a premium, that block kick for a touchdown was huge. Can you just take me through that play? I mean, it went right.
Yeah, with Torres, he actually blocked it. Like in Maple Heights, I blocked it, and he picked it up and he scored. He told me, have him, get him. Said when I pick it up, I said I have to score. Offense wasn't moving too much, so I took it upon myself.
Their defense has a pretty strong defensive line. Your offense is trying to struggle to move the ball against them. Just talk about the challenge of playing against them.
They're huge. They have a 4-star DN. They have a couple bigger kids, but we just told our guys keep fighting, keep pushing along. They tried. They got us enough first downs in the whole game.
This is what you guys wanted this whole time. How does it feel like?
It feels amazing. Like it's unreal right now. I don't even know how to feel. I don't even know if this is really happening. Like after starting the season 0-2, nobody nobody but us in the locker room believed that we would have got there. But we got it.
That opening, when they came out on the field, there were a bunch of flags thrown. What exactly happened? What ultimately was the SportsChannel?
They got hype or whatever. They came out and ran all the way to our sideline. Everybody clapped like they came to the they came to the white. So we felt disrespected from the beginning of the game, and we just went out there and took what we had to take.
Were you surprised they didn't go for two down there once they scored?
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought he was going to try to tie the game. That's why, I mean, they went at our young freshmen, but I told them right after that, I said, this is the biggest stop. This is what we need to get right here. They'll forget about it, stop them from getting two, and we'll still win the game.
What was it like going against Jalen Harris on defense?
It was good. That's good for us. That's a D1 kid, like 5-star. He has Alabama, Ohio State. You don't see too many of those guys, but I feel like we contained him well. I think he might have had, like, what, one reception? Yeah.
Now, I was concerned what happened last year. You guys go all the way that last game. Does it make this one much more sweet?
No, yeah, it makes this more sweeter because last year we had a chance to go to the playoffs, and they took it from us. So we came out here, and we felt like we had to take it back.
What do you mentioned you guys the 0-2 start. What do you attribute the turnaround to in this 8-win streak?
Just heart and believing. That's it. That's all. All our coaches believed in us. We believed in us. So we turned it around.
What are you looking forward to most next week at home?
A big crowd. Let's just.
All right, Naz Bohannon, it's real. You're in the playoffs. You're going to host a game next week, young man. So, again, nice story for the Lorraine Titans.
Oh, yeah, especially the run that they had to go on to get into the postseason and to host a playoff game. And we talked about the home field advantage that they're going to have. Grass field, they can grow it as high as they want to, but beating Bedford, beating Cleveland Heights, beating Sandusky, the only team so far this year to beat Sandusky, and they did it by coming from behind with their backup quarterback in there. And it does. It shows the heart of this team. Not only did they start 0-2, but they were trailing against Sandusky on the road against a team that hadn't lost to that point. They come from behind against that one, and they just use that as a springboard into the postseason and into a first-round home game.
And you mentioned those teams. Those are all playoff caliber teams. That shows you can win in Week 11 if you're a Lorraine Titan. Nate Klein has been covering the Copley and Bedford game, and Nate has Copley head coach Scott Chenard. Take it away, Nate.
Sure. No, I think we needed to limit them to the big plays on defense, which we did an unbelievable job tonight. And then on offense, we needed to control the line of scrimmage and run the ball, and we did that. And in special teams, limit their their big plays and make some plays of our own. I think all three phases we executed well.
Well, Nate Klein hustling around as well. He not only talked to Scott Chenard, head coach at Copley, he talked to Sean Williams, the head coach of the Bedford Bearcats.
Well, I'll tell you what, we came out, we had a good little drive going, and we did exactly what I said we couldn't do, turn the ball over. And simply, you turn the ball over, you don't win. We turned the ball over. We snapped the ball over the punter's head. That was a safety. We turned the ball over. 2 turnovers against a great team like this, with the running backs and the skill level that they have, not going to win. We played solid defense, but we weren't able to run the ball consistently. We weren't able to throw the ball consistently, where we weren't able to play solid all the way around in all units that we needed to today. So that's what's our downfall.
And you can sense just the frustration level, especially at the turnovers. And you count the snap over the punter's head as another turnover as well if you're a head coach. And you can sense it. Those are the type of things that drive coaches absolutely crazy because he feels they're correctable.
Yeah.
And you had 4 interceptions against Cleveland Heights. You had 6 turnovers against Lorraine. And you're going into the playoffs. You're going to have teams like Chardon, Aurora, Hudson, Copley. You play tonight. Brecksville, who isn't great defensively, but if you give them the football, they're going to score. You don't have room for error when you get into this region. There's almost no room for error with any of the teams in this region. So you can't turn the ball over if you're hoping to pull any upsets and go deeper into the postseason than maybe some people expect you to go.
The other frustration is, and you can sense it from Coach, he understands how good his team can be if they stop turning the ball over. He said, wait a minute, we didn't turn the ball over and we beat Nordonia. We didn't turn the ball over, we beat Shaker Heights. We didn't turn the ball over and we beat Maple Heights. We shut them out 41-0. So stop it. Stop making these mistakes because we're good enough. We're good enough to hang with Cleveland Heights. We're good enough to beat a team like Copley. But we can't keep beating ourselves in some ways. And that's been the problem for Bedford. 3 of the last 4 losses heading into the postseason, that's not the feeling that you want going into the postseason. And it's because of the turnovers.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. This, you don't want to go into the postseason having 3 games where you felt like you gave the ball to your opponents, and that's what happened. He felt like his defense played pretty well, but you turn the ball over and it has the cascading effect. Well, now the defense is constantly on the field, and you give the offense a short field against that defense, and suddenly all these things get stacked up, and things that are strengths are no longer strengths.
And you've turned what could have been a 9-1 season and a home game into 7-3, and maybe you have to go to Aurora. Maybe you have to go to
Hudson.
To Hudson. You have to go someplace really difficult to play. We'll see kind of how the rankings come out on Sunday.
And it'll be interesting to see. Again, Bedford likely in the playoffs. Copley definitely in the playoffs. Copley might have played their way into a home game. It'll be interesting. They're kind of right on that 4 or 5 fringe, and they may be able to even jump up a little bit depending on what happens on the bottom half of that. But you know what? Way to go, Copley. That's a playoff caliber team that you went out and you did the things you needed to do to beat.
You're feeling very good about your team going into the playoffs now, and you really like being in that position where you can say, okay, maybe this game didn't have a ton riding on it. Obviously, a home game, possibly riding on it. We'll see. But you feel really good about where you are, and we talked about you've established somebody else running the football. You've gotten your quarterback going, running the football a little bit. He's been very good at that all year, and you know what you're going to get in Weston Bridges. So now you feel good about some other elements on your team.
Well, most of the games have gone final as we approach what is the end of Week 10, and now we'll kind of sort everything out. Still 1 day of football left here in the regular season of the high school football. We've got a number of games that are pretty significant coming up tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night as well. We're going to step aside and take a quick time out here on the Friday Night Huddle, along with Dan Labbe from cleveland.com and Chris Fedor from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. We'll be back right here on the Friday Night Huddle on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel and cleveland.com.
Just as athletes need proper sleep for optimum performance, so do fans. To be your best, you need your rest on a properly fitted mattress from Mattress Warehouse. A good night's sleep on the right mattress prepares you for whatever the day throws at you. Visit Mattress Warehouse for a custom sleep assessment, and we'll help you find the right mattress for a great night's sleep and a productive day. Sleep like a champion, play like a champion with the perfect mattress from Mattress Warehouse.
The best thing Tri-C did for me was give me opportunities. The workforce program prepared me for the career I have now. I got a job in the aerospace industry where I work on CNC machines. I have 3 younger brothers. I want to teach my brothers, hard work actually pays off. Come to Tri-C. It's a great stepping stone to wherever you're trying to get to in life. My name is Chris Grooms, and I got my start at Tri-C.
Saturdays, after the big game, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is Ohio's destination for all things college football. Join Les Levine and Anthony Lima as they break down all the day's action. Listen in live on Coach Urban Meyer's news conference and take your calls on the road ahead for the Scarlet and Gray. More sports and Les Levine postgame. Saturdays after the game on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
I'm Stipe Miocic, world heavyweight champion for Nature Stone, and Cleveland's first hometown champ. Fighting can be brutal. So can mold, mildew, or flooding on your basement carpet or tile. Get Nature Stone and never replace your basement flooring again.
Hurry, act now. Get Nature Stone and save up to 50%. That's up to 50% off authentic Nature Stone flooring.
Nature Stone, like me, simply the best.
Act now. Call or visit naturestone.com today.
Football fans, huddle up. Friday nights are about to change forever with Friday Night Huddle. From pregame to postgame and everything in between, Friday Night Huddle is the place for Ohio football action. Combining the resources of cleveland.com, Classic Teleproductions, and Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, Friday Night Huddle gives you unprecedented coverage. You can be part of the action. Get updates as they happen. On cable, online, and on point. Friday Night Huddle. Dominion East Ohio is proud to salute young people in our area who work toward their goals both in the classroom and on the field. We're proud to serve our community and are committed to making a difference. Each year, Dominion partners with schools throughout the region and the entire country to develop new programs aimed at strengthening math and science education in our schools from kindergarten through high school. For more information about our programs, services, and community involvement, www.dom.com. Dominion, it all starts here.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tuesday nights are for Ohio college football. And now, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is teaming up with your favorite site where Ohio State fans gather, 11 Warriors. Join Marissa Contapelli and the pros who know the team best as they preview the week ahead. 11 Warriors Report, Tuesday nights at 7, only on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
Welcome back inside the Friday Night Huddle. I'm Dave Bacon. As always, joined by Dan Labbe from cleveland.com, Chris Fedor from cleveland.com. Glad you joined us. We are wrapping up the regular season, Week 10, almost in the books on a Friday night. We'll have some Saturday games. One of the big games that we've been following all night long, the Solon Comets, 8-1 on the season, taking on the Medina Bees, 8-1 on the season. The Comets improved to 9-1. And Jeff Sabo from Solon Education Television got a hold of Jim McQuaid to get his reaction to the Comets' win tonight. Take it away, Jeff.
All right, Coach, this was an emotional roller coaster, a lot of lead changes. What kept your team in this game?
Well, we had to keep our composure throughout the whole game. We knew it was going to be a tough game. They're a very good team. And we made some plays, some big plays at the end. We give them a ton of credit. They did a great job also. And 2 8-1 teams, this is the kind of game you would expect.
Yeah, and then Thomas Wilkes, your running back, 6 touchdowns tonight. He really came through.
Well, he's done a good job all year long. So we've kind of ridden him, and we're very happy to come out here with a very tough win.
You know, Coach, you shared with me that your dream was to host a first-round playoff game. Looks like that you're going to have that opportunity.
Well, we'll see what happens tonight. We're going to enjoy this tonight. We'll go back to work tomorrow morning.
All right. And any other comments or anything else?
No, we're good. We're very happy, and we look forward to watching Medina in the playoffs also. So, thank you.
Nothing better for a high school football coach than saying, after Week 10's game, we'll get back to work tomorrow morning. Means you're in the playoffs. Well, Jeff Sabo hustling around. He has Thomas Wilkes, who scored 6, count them 6 touchdowns in the Comets' win over Medina. Take it away, Jeff, again.
All right, Thomas, 6 touchdowns tonight. Tell us what really kind of got you to that point.
Well, we had a great preparation of practice this week, to look at what plays they did and what to counter off of that to be successful in this game. I give it all up to Nate Westridge, Zach Beater, Chris Glazier, Maurice Ashford, and Jacob Gross. They did all the mean work in between the lines, and I just ran for touchdowns to lead our team to a victory. We got our goal to win our title, the conference title by ourselves, and now we're pushing forward to our playoff run.
And what do you think motivated the offensive line throughout the game?
Well, because we've heard all week how they believe that they could beat us, and we took that to heart. And they also had an article that said that we have nothing to lose, we can still make the playoffs and all that. But we took that to heart. We wanted to show them that we were the team that they had to beat to make it and be successful.
And then what also helped you out tonight? Because I know you've mentioned the offensive line, the coaches. Anything else?
The wide receivers, they do their job by getting separation and then they block when they see me running. So I give the credit to them. Daryl Sinclair, Jake McCurry, Taj Ward, Andrew Mason. They do a great job of blocking when they know I'm running the ball.
All right, thanks, Thomas.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Thomas Wilkes, wise man, named all his offensive linemen. It's the kind of thing you do after you score 6 touchdowns in a game.
Yeah, that's a very smart man right there. You give your credit to the people that are going to help you do it more as you go on through Week 11, Week 12, however far Solon goes.
And for Solon, they were already in the postseason coming into tonight. They probably had a home game locked up coming into tonight, but they shared the league title last year with Euclid, and they didn't want to share it with anybody this year, let alone Medina. So now Solon has that league title all to themselves. One of the goals that they had coming into the year has been accomplished.
The flip side of it is they also, this was a great final regular season game for Solon, because you want to get pushed by a good team. They got pushed. And I'll qualify that. You want to get pushed by a good team as long as you push back and win in the final game of the regular season. And the Comets did that. And you know, the other thing I would say is Medina's the real deal.
Yes.
And Coach McQuaid touched on it. That's a good football team. If you're in Region 2, you better be aware that the Bees are out there.
Yeah, and I mean, they're on their third quarterback, but they have a great running back. They have a defense that maybe isn't going to shut you down, but, you know, can force some turnovers, get the ball back in the hands of their offense, and we just know they can score and score and score in bunches, and that can be difficult sometimes to stop in November.
Well, if you can put up the amount of points they put up against Solon, you're going to do that against. Yeah. That's a really good defense that Solon allowed more points against Medina than they had any other team.
And you can tell the respect that Jim McQuaid had for Medina, saying, hey, we're looking forward to watching Medina in the postseason as well.
Of course, that's because they're not in the same region.
Exactly, they're in Division I, Region 1, Medina 1, 2.
Exactly.
But you could tell just how they earned that respect based on the way that they played and doing something to the Solon defense that the Solon defense is simply not used to.
And, you know, I think they're onto something with the big quarterback in Whitaker and the big running back in Daw. That's not something you want to face. You don't want to face that.
Right.
And they've had to change their offense a little bit. Obviously, it's always been based around Jimmy Daw, but you know, you got to change your downfield passing game a little bit. Maybe it hurts a guy like Dylan Foltz a bit too. But look, you got to figure out how to run the offense with the guys you have. You got to make those adjustments, and they were able to do that against a very good defense tonight. It's got to give them confidence going into the games now, where you have so much less room for error. And I'm sure they would have loved a league title. They didn't get it, but they've got a chance to do something in the postseason, which is something that, had you told them, hey, you're going to lose your starting quarterback, and then you're going to go to your third-string quarterback late in the season, I'm sure they would take where they are right now.
Well, and you know what? Dylan Foltz is a guy that the defense still has to respect, and you want to cheat somebody up, he's going to get behind that defense, and Whitaker has the arm to throw it there. That's a really, really good football team. The Medina Bees finished the year at 8-2. Our Jeff Sabo from Solon Education Television covered the game, and he joins us on the phone. Jeff, what jumps out about the Comets and the Bees in this game you just saw?
Oh my goodness! What a game! What a night! Both teams very resilient. Neither team really giving up. Even late in the game, when Medina was still down, they still got the ball, put a drive together, and managed to make it a 50-43 deficit. They tried to they almost had the onside kick at the very end. However, Solon managed to recover. And there were certain points at this game I just wondered if Medina was eventually going to take the lead, but Solon, they were just very resilient on defense. They managed to make plays happen on offense. Thomas Wilkes, the running back, I know we've talked about him several times on this show. He definitely credited his offensive line with opening up holes. Whenever Solon needed a big play, he and the offensive line provided, and Solon was able to get back in this ball game and get the win.
Jeff, you know, we knew what Solon's defense had done previously. How impressed were you with the running game, particularly Whitaker and Daw, the the quarterback and the running back for Medina. This is something that, no offense had been able to do against Solon this year.
You're just taking a look at Whitaker in the backfield and also Daw. The Solon coaching staff definitely knew that Daw was going to be bigger, faster, and stronger than what they saw 1 year ago when the two teams met at Solon. Just the size of both of them in the backfield, just that 1-2 punch, where if Daw doesn't have the football, Whitaker can definitely bounce off of a few tacklers. And just the size of both of them, just talking with some of the other reporters on the sideline and some of the other photographers, we all commented just how the size of both of them really made the defense, really made the Solon defense have to step it up at certain times. And and in the first half, there were a lot of missed tackles by that Solon defense, and it was due to the size of both of them.
Jeff Szabo, we appreciate the post-game and the analysis of the Solon and Medina game. Well, it's time for us to take a look at the Super 25. Let's take a look at how they fared in this Week 10, the final week of the regular season. And here we go. So Massillon-Jackson loses to North Canton Hoover. That could very well cost the Bulldogs a home game in the first round of the playoffs in
Perry's
Division
your
I,
league
Region
champ,
1.
too.
Yeah, Perry wins the Federal League.
Midview, overtime.
Wow.
Needs overtime to defeat North Ridgeville, 49-42. So the Middies pushed. They push back and get the win. Elder, as we saw, loses to LaSalle 24-10. McKinley has a date with Massillon. That will be tomorrow afternoon. Perry, great come-from-behind win for the Massillon-Perry Panthers. They defeat Glen Oak 30-24. They were down 24-3 at one point in that football game. Turpin beats Loveland 30-14. Chardon, look at that. They beat Willoughby South. South trying to win and get into the playoffs, but not going to happen as the Hilltoppers finish the regular season a perfect 10-0, as does Turpin. Upper Arlington loses to Dublin Kaufman 27-21 as the 17 and 18 teams play each other. Hilliard-Davidson still doing battle in Week 10. Hilliard-Bradley, no problem at all with Delaware Hayes. St. Francis de Sales finishes the regular season undefeated, 56-14. They defeat Mount Vernon. You saw Solon, a high-scoring affair with the Medina Bees. They finished the regular season 9-1. We saw earlier Trotwood Madison lost to Wayne 17-6. Stowe, no problem at all with North Royalton 34-7. The Bulldogs finished the regular season with a 9-1 record. Avon defeats Olmsted Falls 42-19. Mike Elder's guys finished the regular season a perfect 10-0. They are the AP's top-ranked team in the state in Division II. Pick Central defeats Grove City. They shut them out 41-0. They finished 9-0. St. Ignatius, they've got a game tomorrow. You might have heard. They play St. Ed's. It'll be played at a little bit bigger venue, First Energy Stadium, home of the Cleveland Browns. Liberty finishes the season 10-0 as Olentangy Liberty. They defeated Westerville North 35-10. Take a look. Toledo Central Catholic in a barn burner with Lima Senior. They escape with a 35-34 win. Toledo Central Catholic finishes the season a perfect 10-0. Hoban shuts out Benedictine. So the Hoban Knights, that should be 9-1. Their only loss on the year is to the St. Edward Eagles. Elder defeats, LaSalle defeats Elder 24-10. Again, St. Ed's will play St. Ignatius tomorrow evening at Cleveland Browns Stadium, 7-1. Both those teams, actually, Ignatius is 8-1 going into that. Ed's had the one game canceled. Huber Heights Wayne, as we saw, they defeated Trotwood Madison, finished up their regular season yesterday. And Coleraine finishes the regular season a perfect 10-0 as they defeat Cincinnati Oak Hills 48-20. The final in that. Coleraine a perfect 10-0 heads into that game they're the top-ranked team in the state in the Division I AP poll as well.
So you got St. Ed, St. Ignatius at First Energy Stadium tomorrow. You've got Massillon, McKinley, and Massillon tomorrow. So you've got two of the best rivalries in the country taking place at great venues tomorrow. As we went through those rankings,
those are
ton of fun.
Always Week 10 games.
Yeah.
Then you add in another one that is really important as far as the playoff picture goes. It's Shaker hosting Euclid.
Yeah.
Euclid
there might be a lot of
wins.
Menor fans there.
Yeah. They'd love to try to, give them some players so they could. We'll give you a couple wide receivers. Well, we touched on it. The McKinley Bulldogs taking on the Massillon, the Tigers, and our Darian Burton, our student reporter from McKinley, sat down with Dan Reardon and has this preview.
This Saturday afternoon, it's the 127th meeting between the Bulldogs and the Tigers. It's your second year coaching this huge game. Tell me some of the things you picked up from last year.
Well, I think just all of the auxiliary things that go on with this week that don't go on in a normal week. You walk through the high school and there's very, very little wall space that you see that don't have posters on it and signs up on it. So, the student body is engaged, the band, the cheerleaders, teachers, everybody. So, we have Spirit Week going on. Tomorrow morning we have a big breakfast where both teams attend, and Thursday we have a Beat Massillon dinner. Friday we have the pep rally and a bonfire. So any one of those things would be out of the ordinary for every other week. But we have, it seems like an endless amount of events that go on. So just prioritizing the time, still keeping the kids focused to practice well so we can play well. Just all those things, and it's a great week to be a part of.
All right, just like you pointed out, how do you keep the team focused during a huge week like this?
Well, they are very motivated to play well, obviously, because it is such a big deal to both communities. We had a very good day of practice yesterday. We expect the same today and the remainder of the week. But, from a focus standpoint, we talk to the kids about focus on what's important to us, what is important to us as a football team, and that's practicing well so we can play well. It's not dressing up for Twin Day or being a part of the sign painting. We have to focus on what it takes to win the football game. The other stuff is for the rest of the student body to enjoy, and then we will have our enjoyment after winning the game on Saturday. Yeah. That's when we get to enjoy it. But from Monday through Friday, we have to get our minds ready, get our bodies ready to play well on Saturday.
Exactly. Well, Coach, tell me where you can improve to snap this two-game losing streak.
Well, I think just we always talk to our kids about consistency. The other night we played very well on one side of the ball, not as well on the other side of the ball. And there's some games where one side needs to pick the other side up. There's some games where both sides are playing very well, and then you throw special teams in there as well. So, at the end of the day, we started the game, went right down the field and scored, and then a PAT got blocked. And that PAT came back to haunt us. Otherwise, we were going to overtime. Exactly. And, so you throw special teams in there as well. And again, there's games this year where our defense, maybe they didn't play great, but our offense did. Well, our defense played really well the other night. Our offense didn't score enough points, and that's something that we have to take ownership of and just have more consistency.
Yeah, be overall a great team.
Yep.
Exactly. Okay, Coach, this is the biggest game of the season, obviously. But tell me how important it is to you.
Well, it's a rivalry game, and from a coach's standpoint, our job is to get guys ready to play every single week, getting guys to understand that all 10 weeks are important. Yet this week, we don't have to say a word, and the kids know how big of a deal it is just to the community. And again, if you just walk in the hallways, you can see how big of a deal it is. So, to me, I try to maintain as much of the same approach from week to week as I can, preparing the team to play. But, everybody just puts that much more into this game, that much more effort.
All right, we appreciate the interview by Darian Burton, our student reporter from McKinley High School, with Dan Reardon, the head coach of the McKinley Bulldogs. And that's the reason that Dan Reardon came back. He was longtime head coach at Ursuline, won some state championships with Youngstown Ursuline, went out to Colorado, came back to Coach McKinley. It's for this game and games like this.
Yeah.
And he's got that program trending in the right direction.
This game that was good enough for a Sports Illustrated feature way back in the day. I mean, just such a game, so full of history, and it is the classic throw the records out. Doesn't matter, they're in different divisions now. Massillon, McKinley is still one of the greatest rivalries in the country.
Yeah, and a lot on the line, you know. Massillon is a team that will be in the playoffs. McKinley is a team that will be in the playoffs. So this could be the thing that springboards either one of these teams into a home playoff game. And when you talk about a home playoff game for Massillon, that's a place nobody really wants to play.
Yeah.
And you know, McKinley, because Fawcett Stadium is under construction, they've been playing their home games at Canton Central Catholic. That's why they've been playing on Saturdays. This game's always played on Saturday because, quite frankly, both cities turn out to watch it.
Yeah, and McKinley's in the postseason, but has not been playing well. Talk about a loss 2 weeks ago to Glen Oak, lost last week against Perry. Are they good teams? Are they playoff teams? Absolutely yes, but you don't want to be going into the postseason on a 3-game losing skid, feeling like you're not playing your best football. And you want to talk about where this offense has gone? I don't know, 2 points
19
and
to
then
2
6
and
points?
7 to 6 are the scores of those. Yeah, that's the most concerning thing, and I think that's kind of what Coach Reardon was alluding to when he said, you know, sometimes one side of the ball has to pick up the other. And, you know, 19 to 2 to Glen Oak, 7 to 6 to Perry. So if you're Massillon, you're probably a little concerned. Are these guys? You know, these guys they have too much talent offensively to be scoring 8 points the last 2 games.
Yeah, and you go to that Perry game, like you mentioned, that missed extra point, 7 to 6. Perry held the ball for 33 minutes in that football game, so you wonder if maybe there's a little bit of a blueprint out there. If you are a team that can run the football and you're playing McKinley, you don't want to go super conservative if that's not who you are, but maybe if you can hold the football, make them panic a little bit because they're not getting their offense out there, because their offense has been tight recently, maybe that's kind of the blueprint right now.
Well, you know, the blueprint for finding a way to beat St. Ignatius, nobody's really found one. You know, it's kind of interesting because last week they went down to Cincinnati, and Steve Speck, great defensive coach for St. Xavier, put an extra guy in the box to try to slow down the running game. St. Ignatius averaging 6 yards a carry. So what happens? Patrick Ryan, the quarterback, starts completing passes downfield and big passes that, you know, open up a big lead and allow St. Ignatius to really, you know, have, I won't say an easy time, but to kind of ease into that. Now the flip side of that is, how do you handle that if you're St. Ed's? If you can get pressure on the quarterback and stop that running game without bringing an extra guy, that's the blueprint. Question is, I don't know if anybody has, you know, do you have the materials to follow that blueprint?
Yeah, with that offensive line, how do you get pressure with 4 guys? It's really hard to do.
How do you stop them without the extra guy in the box?
Yeah, and I think one of the keys is you've got to have safeties that can cover, okay, because maybe you're going to bring one into the box, but now you've got to use that other safety. He's got to be able to cover a little bit, and you've got to be able to cover one-on-one, and maybe you're going to live with some big plays down the field. But you've got to be able to kind of bite down a little bit and get stops when you can.
And that's why you go back to St. Ed's last year. For your question, Dave, there was an answer. In fact, there were 2 answers. One answer was Michael O'Malley putting pressure on the quarterback, a man-child. And then the other one was Andrew Dowell, who is now playing at Michigan State. So those 2 guys are no longer there defensively for St. Ed's. Can they still generate the pressure with just bringing 4 and not put as much on their secondary? I would say a secondary that has playmakers, but also some youngsters back there.
Well, and their safeties were pretty good. Coyne was pretty good last year, and Fallon was pretty good. And they allowed them to do some things that, you know, those are anomalies. When you have safeties and linebackers like the Eagles had last year, you're going to win state championships like they did the last 2 years. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly how the Eagles try to slow down that running game. So far, the only team that's been able to do it is Detroit Catholic Central out of Michigan. They're unbeaten. They're one of the top teams in the state in Michigan. And it's just going to be really interesting to see. Patrick Ryan has done a great job when he's needed to to throw the football.
And Tony Butler was there last year, too, for St. Ed's in the back end of the secondary. He's at Nebraska now. So we're talking D1 kids no longer on that defense. Could be an opportunity for St. Ignatius to make plays.
Without question. And you know what, though? Tom Lombardo's a heck of a football coach. Chuck Kyle's a heck of a football coach. It's going to be a great game. Great game, great venue. It'll be played at Cleveland Brown Stadium. They'll have the lower bowl opened up, and it'll be a fun time. And the thing that's really good is it'll be something that the players remember forever. They played on an NFL field against their biggest rival. They're two of the top-ranked teams in the state. It's one of those games that they will remember 10, 15 years down the road. And we'll be talking about for the next few weeks. The interesting thing is these two teams could very well end up playing each other the following week in the first round of the playoffs if things break. We're going to step aside and take a quick time out. So we will return to the Friday Night Huddle along with Chris Fedor and Dan Labbe. I'm Dave Bacon. Stay with us.
Hey Tim, I can hear you. Can you guys not hear me? Yes. It's the Coliseum right now. Now that's Neil. Yeah. Cool.
Hey Brian, did you ask Carrie where?
Hey Neil, hey Matt, how's it going? Ooh, I have not gotten to that yet. Not at the games I was at. I apologize. It was nothing overly exciting. Can they hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Ask him if he wants to. Do you want to do Aurora?
Matt, Neil, can you guys hear me? Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Matt, Neil, hello, hello, hello. Hey guys. Sorry, Matt, I don't have any great stats for you. My games weren't that exciting. Not really. Sorry. Did any player have a big night tonight up here?
Thomas Wilkes had 6 touchdowns.
What school's he from?
Solon.
Thomas Wilkes from Solon had 6 touchdowns tonight.
Running back.
Running back. Cool. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Friday Night Huddle, along with Dan Labbe and Chris Fedor. I'm Dave Bacon, and guys, it's we're wrapping up the regular season. Kind of interesting to find out just how well some of the teams that were pushed did.
Yeah, Solon was a team that was pushed. We got to see how they responded. Medina was a team that pushed, so that was good. Menor got pushed a little bit early, and they're, of course, under pressure, so it was good to kind of see how they did as well, see what happens with them.
Avon got pushed a little bit, too. Don't forget about Avon. That was another team that has not gone into this year playing very many close games at all, and it was, 14-14 at halftime, right around there?
Close. 21-14.
21-14 at halftime. So, again, when you're blowing all these teams out heading into the postseason, it's nice at times to get these kinds of tests. And Avon went on to win 42-19, so they turned a close game into a blowout, something that they usually do, but getting tested through one half is probably good for a team like Avon heading into the postseason.
Yeah, without question. As long it's good to be tested as long as you pass the test.
That's exactly right. You got to win.
If you don't pass the test, you really don't want to be tested in Week 10.
And starting now, you can maybe fail a test here or there before this week, but now there's no room for error. No matter what, no matter how you win, no matter how you outscore the other team, it's win or go home time. It's exciting. That's what it's about.
Let's take a look at some scores from across the area, and courtesy of cleveland.com. We start out in the Senate League. Rhodes wins 44-0. John Hay 47-0. We do know that Lorraine ended up hanging on and beating Cleveland Heights. Westlake, look at that, 63-42. The Demons in the playoffs in Division II in the second year for Jason Hall. So congrats to him. They finished 3-7 a year ago. They turn it around and they get into the playoffs. Twinsburg, a team to keep your eye on next year. Finish up with 3 wins, a huge, just a really talented sophomore class. They also have a bunch of freshmen that Coach Mike Bell really likes as well. You see Steele leading 23-8. Mentor ended up winning, scoring 63 points. So the Cardinals finish up pretty strong as well. Solon comes back and beats Medina, a battle of 8-1 teams. Solon ends up 9-1. Stowe wins by 27. Brunswick leading Strongsville 31-7. That one is not a final. Aurora 49-0. The Greenmen qualify for the state playoffs for the 12th year in a row. They will be the #1 seed in their region. Barberton, all right. The Magic, 39-14 win. They qualify for the playoffs for the first time since 1998. We talked to Coach Tony Gatto last week. He is an alum from Barberton, played on one of the 2 playoff teams in school history. There will be a 3rd playoff team in Barberton Magic history this year, so congratulations to them. Copley, no problem with Bedford. Hudson ends up beating Brecksville. You see Kenston leading Brush 31-24. That not a final. Chardon, perfect regular season. Mitch Hewitt, talked to him last week. So they finished the regular season a perfect 10-0. They're getting ready for the playoffs. Akron East, an 18-0 lead, and Mifflin leading Garfield Heights. Well, let's head to the phones and let's check in with Jason Hall, head coach of the Westlake Demons. Coach Hall, congratulations. Really happy for you. You got to feel pretty good about the way your team responded and got it done tonight.
Yeah, I think our kids have done a great job. Obviously, we had to handle some adversity tonight, but I think it was our 5th straight week scoring over 50 points. So I'm real happy for our kids.
You know, I had talked to you last year, week 7. You lost a tough one to North Ridgeville, a playoff team. You end up winning the last 2 games last year. You go 7-3 this year. You felt like things were headed in the right direction. I'd say you were spot on with that. You got to be happy with the way this program has responded.
Yeah, I think the way we finished at the end of the year last year just led into our off season. I thought we had a really good off season. The current senior class just really bought in. They really had a great summer as well. So, I'm just happy for them to be able to experience it.
How proud are you of that class, this senior class? It's obviously your second year. How proud are you of the way that group kind of took the lead and really got you where you wanted to go, probably a little bit quicker than maybe even you thought they might? You go from 3-7 a year ago to in the playoffs in your second year there.
Well, I think our seniors really hit the ground running. Great senior leadership. It's been like that all off season. It's a really tight group, I couldn't say anything but more for them except for they're just great leaders. They have fun. They don't give up. We've had a couple games where we've been down and they just rally back, and so we're real excited to get our shot to playoffs.
Hey, Coach, you guys went through a stretch in the middle of the season where you played some really tough teams, lost 3 out of 4. Did you learn anything about your team kind of coming out of that stretch?
Well, I think in all those games you look back and there was times where we could have really stayed in the game or even really put some pressure on them. In the mid-year game, we're going to tie the game up 21-21. We fumble on the 1-yard line, and then we do the same thing start of the fourth quarter, we get stopped on the 1 yard line. So, you know, we lose 35-14 and we get stopped on the 1 yard line going in twice. You know, we were going in to tie the Avon Lake game up at 42. We ended up losing 42-35. So we just learned some stuff that we got to execute better in the red zone close. But, again, our kids have really fought back and been great practice players. They come recharged every Monday, and it shows. I mean, they went from, 2 years ago, 1-9 to 3-7 to 7-3.
Coach, was there a time in this season where you kind of sensed that these guys believed they were a playoff caliber team and they were going to get it done? Is there a point in the season where you could kind of point to?
Believe it or not, I really think it was the Avon game. You know, we had our chances in that game to really compete, get ourselves like close in the fourth quarter, and we were able to score right before half, come out and score a couple in the third quarter. So I think our kids looked around saying, hey, we can do this. We can play with all these guys. So I think that kind of changed their momentum. Here they go. They play a pretty tough game against the number one team in the state. So I think that really opened their eyes.
Coach Jason Hall, we appreciate the time so much. Congratulations on making the playoffs. Good luck next week.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate you covering it. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Again, Jason Hall, heck of a job. And, you know, we've kind of touched on it. This is a guy that just can flat out coach. He took Ravenna Southeast to the playoffs. He took Brush to the playoffs. He was at Massillon. They were in the playoffs, I think, every year but one he was at Massillon. Might have been every year. And now he has Westlake in the playoffs, and you see that's kind of how they line up. And Avon is the number one seed, even though Holland Springfield shows that. That's because all the results are not in for Avon. So he may end up, facing Avon again, but that's okay.
And he talked about how that was kind of the game when they realized, we've talked all year long about measuring sticks for teams, right? And that was the game when they went up against Avon. They were in that game. They know how good Avon is. They know they want to be Avon one day. And they played Avon. They hung with Avon. And from there, they only lost one more game, and now they're headed to the playoffs.
Well, and the flip side of that is you may get another shot at Avon, which if you're a player on that team, that's like Christmas. We feel like we can hang with them. Now we get to play them again.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing is kudos to Westlake and the athletics department for recognizing Coach Hall, number one, and understanding that you're going to have to play Avon every single year, Midview every single year, Avon Lake every single year, and you better have a coach that can get the team rallied around him and ready for that caliber competition, that step up in competition. So good for them going out and going to get him and allowing him to turn this program into what he's already turned this program into.
And you know what? That's going to be a lot of fun to watch because he loves Westlake. Had a chance to talk to him. He moved there. He's got a family. They love the area. So it's going to be interesting because it's going to be Avon. It's going to be Midview. It's going to be Westlake. They're going to be perennially good. I mean, he's going to get them in the weight room. He's going to do all the things they need to do to be a successful program.
And he gets at least one more week to coach them.
Yeah,
he'll get another week to coach them. He gets extra weeks now to coach his team. That's a good football coach. He's going to use these weeks very well.
Yeah, and they just keep building on each other and building on each other. All right, guys, we got about 35 seconds. What are you just looking for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I mean, it's got to be those rivalry games and St. Ignatius, St. Ed's going against each other. Maybe a preview of a Week 11 matchup. So I'm really excited to kind of see what St. Edward does against St. Ignatius, like you mentioned. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of other Division I coaches watching that game too.
Here you see Division I, Region I. You see Solon has clinched the home game. We knew that.
Right.
St. Ed's and St. Ignatius play. Okay, Glen Oak, they're in the playoffs, so that's good for them. St. Ignatius in the playoffs, so they don't have to worry about that. Now it comes down to Euclid and Menor.
Right.
So if Euclid wins, they're in.
And that's the thing that I'm going to be watching because it's on the road against Shaker Heights. It's coming off a loss against Medina. The way that they lost against Medina, allowing Medina to come from behind. So you wonder how much that took out of them going into tomorrow's game. The good thing for them, one extra day to prepare for Shaker Heights. But be careful of Shaker Heights, 5-4 on the season, but a team that can certainly put up points.
Well, the other thing is St. Ignatius, St. Ed's Part 2 could follow the week after, Part 1. You saw how that lines up. And that's an interesting dynamic, because if you realize that, you really don't want to show completely everything. But again, you want to beat your arch rival.
There's a lot of coaches in Region 1 that probably would love to see that happen. Let those two schools, let one of them knock the other out in that first round, so that you don't have to go through both of those schools to try and win that region.
Yeah, without question. I mean, can you imagine that if you're the 8th seed, or if you're the number 1 seed and you got to face St. Ignatius, who, with that offensive line? Boy, gee, thanks. What a bargain you just gave me.
Yeah, and turn around, and if you're St. Ed's, you got to do it 6 days later. You got to do it on a short week, because they're doing the Division I games on Fridays this year.
We're going to wrap it up. We are done for the regular season. We'll be back next week, first round of the playoffs. For Dan Labbe and Chris Fedor of cleveland.com, I'm Dave Bacon. Congratulations to every team that has made the playoffs. It's what you play the games for. If you haven't, get back in that weight room. Get working for next year, because that's when everything happens. We'll see you again next week right here on the Friday Night Huddle.